I don't know if you know this. There are two things I want to point out right now. Thing number one, I dislike that sound bite quite a lot. Yep, that's the one that I dislike quite a bit. Numero dos. It's game day, people. It's game day. We got football on tonight, kind of, mostly. But football's football. I don't care.
We did last week too, but it is pretty significant because it's the second Thursday out of a bunch of Thursdays that we have football.
Football! On the TV tonight, my fellow Americans, the moment we've all been waiting for. I think it's fair to say. I think it's time to say. I think it is appropriate to say now that my dudes, my dudettes, my comrades, it's football season. Officially, it is really, sincerely, it is football season now.
So why wasn't it last week?
Because we just had the one game and nobody cared about it.
I cared. I watched it.
One person cared about it.
So did a bunch of other people because football season started last week. So what you're saying is you're the arbiter of when football season starts.
You can try to start the show off with conflict, should you elect to do so. I'm not going to have it. It is officially football season.
I just want you to be right. And football season started last week.
It is today.
How many people are watching this game tonight? Speaking of watching games.
How much of the Hall of Fame game did you watch?
A ton of it.
How much? All of it?
Dude, I can't say that I watched every single second of it. No.
Why is this doing this again?
There's a reason why it was turned off. It's last week's, for some people, would be a lot more interested than the matchup tonight.
I mean, if you're more interested in Texans Bears without the top draft pick playing than you are watching I'm assuming for many of you, the team you root for this evening, I don't know what to say to you.
I'm interested tonight. I'm talking about overall in the United States or possibly the world. Last week's game's more interesting.
It would have been if Caleb Williams played.
Because out of the 4 teams from last week and this week, 1 will make the playoffs.
For the record, there's not just a game on this evening.
Yeah, the other one's pretty bad too.
I don't know. These teams got in 12 fights over 2 days.
Although if you want to watch Detroit, I mean, I get that.
I mean, if I was like hosting the pre and post game show for that team, I'm obviously locked in as the leading expert of it.
Know everything, including, the third string linebacker. Yeah.
No, I'm not. What I am is a dude that knows that it's 7 p.m. this evening. We've got not 1, but 2 football games tonight. For the first time since, I don't know, NBA playoffs round number 3, I'm going to have to utilize all the TVs in the Bro Cave. Oh, I'm going to have baseball on the little one, football on the medium one, football on the big one, Olympics on the other medium one. I don't know why I went out of order. But
you were doing it in the order of how the screens were set up, I think, because you're moving your body like
football big, Olympics medium, football medium, baseball small. That's the order left to right in the Bro Cave. That the footballs will be on the television. The footballs, the Olympics, and the baseballs will be on the television tonight. Panthers, Patriots from Foxborough, Massachusetts. This evening, 7 p.m.
Hey, you know who's not going to be there?
Me?
Bill Belichick.
Hoodie
is not going to be there.
No hoodie for the Pats on the sidelines.
That's going to be weird.
Hoodie's busy.
Busy. He's busy's a key word.
Hoodie got a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Hoodie got a girlfriend dramatically younger than me.
Wow. How's that feel?
I mean, if I would never.
Here's the thing. He's older than me. And has a girlfriend younger than you.
Not younger than me. That's not fair. Younger than me in that she could, and this isn't a fun sentence to say for me in any way, shape, and form.
Here we go.
I don't know that I've ever said this in a derogatory way, and it's been genuinely true. Young enough to be my daughter. She is 23 years old. I would be 17. I know people who had children at 17. This child is young enough to be my daughter, and she is dating. And let's be clear, as much as she's young enough to be my daughter, Hoodie is old enough to be Lonzo's father. He is 72. He'd have been a very young father.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
But it could have worked.
In Kentucky and certain other states.
Roll Tide.
It would have been perfectly all right.
So a man theoretically old enough to be Lonzo's father is dating a girl who is practically young enough to be my daughter. And I'm not old, y'all. All right? I feel that way.
I don't know. This entire week would
I feel like I'm old. I don't know what to tell you. We're watching high jump now. Couldn't do it. Not even in high school could I have done a high jump.
I got asked to do it, and I said no.
I could dunk in high school, but like all the bendy upside down stuff, no shot.
I said, listen, coach, high jump ain't high enough for me.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's what you said.
I need to pole vault. That's what I said to the coach.
Yeah, no, I'm sure that's quoted exactly what you said.
The coach said
verbatim.
I get it.
You're like, coach, I'll jump over a basketball goal. Give me a big stick. Let's make this worth my time. I'm the great one, Lonzo. High jump. It's more like mid jump for me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why don't you just put a bar on the ground and ask me to step over it, coach? This is nothing. This is pathetic. I can't get over this Hoodie thing. It shouldn't be a thing that we bring up or talk about on the air for any reason. Like I'm very much a consenting adults, let them do what they want to do thing. All right. If it ain't bothering you and having an impact on you, leave them the hell alone. All right. It ain't your business. Stay up out of other people's business. But Hoodie, dog, you are 50 years older than this lady.
All right. First of all, why is it on him? Why is it not on her? Why is she going after someone that old?
Because 23-year-olds are dumb. All right? I used to be one 17 years ago.
No. This is just as much on her as it is him. And who knows? They might be wildly in love. Good for them.
I'm sure they have so much in common. They're like, let's go out for a romantic evening. And Hoodie's like, hey, let me call my doctor first.
Or he says, yes, but you have to sign a prenup before we go out to eat.
Say, we want prenup. We want prenup. I mean, listen, don't get me wrong. I thought, oh, no, I don't want to click it, but I have to. The viral video of a shirtless Bill Belichick leaving a house early in the morning was the home of 24-year-old Jordan Hudson, who Belichick is reported to be dating. That has been since confirmed. You know what? I'm going to give Hoodie this at 72. I'm not going to look that good. Good's relative.
That video's old. That was like last year, and people were wondering where he was coming from, and they were using that what's that walk called? The walk of shame. They called it the walk of shame. They've since stopped doing that.
Yeah, no, that's the walk of fame.
Because they saw her. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. All right. Sincerely, like again, I'm a let consenting adults do consenting adult things. Again, if it's not impacting you, Karen, let people live their life. All right. Let them do what they want to do. It ain't bothering you. That's like a founding principle of this nation is let people do what they want to do if it ain't bothering you. Okay. But come on, Bill. Come on. Like what's the conversation between Hoodie and 23-year-old Jordan Hudson? Like, what do they talk about? I didn't I hear somewhere that Bill was like helping her with her college homework at one point? What's the class? Octogenarian studies?
So, listen, he's a genius. We know that. So maybe she's studying sports. It's possible. They have those classes. I never went into one because I thought they were a joke, but they might actually be legitimate. Sports statistics. I mean, there's some classes that he could actually help her with.
Listen, I know we're like way behind the eight ball, and this was a trending topic weeks and weeks ago. All right. I don't care. I can't. It's every time I see it, I'm like, what? Bill, like here's the thing. And I think when you say, oh, she's 23, why is it on her? Because life perspective not only matters, but it changes for people year by year, right? Like Rob Brown at 23 was different than at 25, was different than at 30, is different than at 40. My perspective on life has shifted where things that I genuinely love at 40 are things that even at like 35, I wasn't into. Certainly wasn't at 23. Every day, every single day, when I leave this office, I drive back to the house, I get out of the car, and before I do anything else, before I take my equipment out of the car, before I go inside and settle in for whatever I got to do, you know what the first thing I do is? I walk to the other side of my backyard and I go check on my pepper garden. I go check on my vegetable garden because I have both and I love them more than I love like a solid majority of my family members, okay? I lost a pepper plant the other day. I was devastated. It ruined my day because it's not, you can't just replace that. It's too late in the season. The peppers are about to start sprouting. It's too late in the season. I can't go get another one and just plug it in, right? Because the chemistry and the nitrogen content and the soil and all that, if you move it from garden A to garden B and you don't have the chemical composition of the soil correct, the pepper plant just dies. You've wasted your time. So basically, I just have to, I have to bury that one. It's toast. It's done. And it ruined my day. You think 23-year-old Rob would have been having a plant funeral in his backyard? No. And I suspect 72-year-old Rob, if I make it, is likely going to be even worse. I might be a cat guy by that point. I'm not saying I will be. I'm saying I might be. I would. That's crazy, Rob. Yeah, well, so would 23-year-old Rob have thought being a garden guy was. All right? I wanted to go outside in the daytime and pound drinks with the boys outside on a weekday when I was 23. Now at 39, that sounds miserable. I don't want to do that.
I am curious though. Why is it looked down upon for Bill Belichick, but not for Mick Jagger?
No, I think it is looked down upon Mick Jagger. Mick Jagger just keeps his ass up out of the headlines. Was the last story you heard about Mick Jagger? Well,
he's probably like 90 now, but when he was Bill Belichick's age a long time ago, I think he might have had
also because we don't expect greatness out of, we don't expect anything different out of a rock star, right? Like that's rock star behavior. And the ladies going for rock stars is tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. This man is a 72-year-old retired. By the way, gruff, it would be one thing if he was 72 and had Sean McVay's personality and vigor, right? That'd be one thing. But honey, I'm home. I'm coming back home. I got dinner ready. We're having chicken parmesan for dinner.
All that stuff was fake. He's actually a funny guy. And from
hilarious.
From all the people who were close to him, say he is one of the funniest people.
Yeah, I'm sure all the people close to him do.
And she would be really close to him. So that's probably what she's saying, and he probably makes her laugh.
Honey, that's hilarious. When's that all expenses trip to Milan scheduled for? You're so funny.
Laughter knows no age.
Yeah, you're so hilarious, Bill.
So wait.
When's that trip to?
You're trying to say it's about the money?
When's that all expenses resort trip to Puerto Rico scheduled? But you're so funny.
Wow.
I mean, I'm not saying that's what it's all about. I'm just saying, would you be shocked if it was?
I don't know. That's what's kind of like you're implying that she's only there because of the cash.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm implying. I'm not saying that is what's happening. I'm implying it's a possibility.
Some girls are into old dudes. I mean, that's just,
Listen, again, ladies going for older fellas, again, tale as old as time. But we're not talking about a silver fox in his 50s like you, Lonzo. We're not talking about an absolute stud muffin in his prime like you. It's 72. All right? No. We're not talking about, if we take Lonzo out to the bar, of course, I expect the sorority girls to be lining up out the door for a crack at that absolute hunk. Of course I expect that. That's not Bill.
Happily married for 31 years. Just want to point that out. So
we're all aware.
She might be watching.
Listen, Miss Lisa is more than secure knowing that she got a keeper, all right? If I said, Miss Lisa, the girls were lined up out the door for the great one, she'd be like, yeah, I know, look at the guy. And I'd say, yeah, I agree with you. Look at the guy. She knows. They know. We all know. The point is, if I put Zoe up next to the hoodie's not the logical choice there, all right? It's just not. Zoe's got the youth, the vigor, the energy, and the money over hoodie. And here's
all right, that's ridiculous. The money part, that's kind of
that was the joke. That was the joke. All right, I don't know how we got here. We started with Carolina Panthers kickoff tonight, and we ended up here.
I was just following you.
Hey, it's football day in America. The Carolina Panthers start their preseason this evening. Speaking of,
that's how we got there.
That's how we got there.
Patriots, and I said that he won't be on the sidelines, and then that's where we went.
Brought up the Patriots. Word association to Bill Belichick. Ended up going at, I don't know how we didn't talk about this story when it was in its prime.
Who's the Patriots coach right now?
That, of course, would be former New England Patriot linebacker Gerard Mayo.
Okay, all right.
We call him the Dukes. Okay, Dukes Mayo. Gerard Dukes Mayo.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
NIL's right there for you, Dukes. You could sponsor both Gerard and the Rob Brown Show. It's right there. All right. Let's talk a little bit about what we expect, what we want to see. Speaking of the Carolina Panthers, 8:40, fingers crossed. He hasn't said he won't be here. Rashad Beer from the Panther Nation podcast will join us 9:20. It's Thursday. Head, you know what that means. Fight Club. And I suspect there will be some contention on the Fight Club today because SummerSlam provided us with some interesting stories. By the way, I don't think we'll disagree on this. Congrats on Dom Mysterio for doing something that I didn't think was possible. He heel turned as a heel. But Lonzo's not going to agree with that.
Well, no, it's an amazing thing what he did. But,
he heel turned already as a heel. He healed to healier. We're going to talk about that at 9:20. It's all coming up on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Jersey Joe.
She appealed to his stomach by getting nuggets.
Yeah,
man.
That's what she appealed to.
Nuggets. I mean, if you've seen all the pictures of the nuggets.
I have not.
You really haven't?
No. I don't know how
you haven't seen the Dom Mysterio pictures she gets me?
I was still on Bill and the 23-year-old.
No, I was talking. You brought up Dom.
Yay! I did it. I'm proud of me.
Way to go, you.
I know.
It wasn't toasty in here yesterday. It is today, though. I don't like leaving the door open because I don't know if you knew this or not, but Rob's really loud, and there are other shows going on. Yeah, Lawrence County started last week. I am right now in charge of picking up the granddaughter every day. So I'm Joe. I'm having to tackle the kids line again. Although today her mom is off. She's off on Thursdays, so I get a break, a reprieve. I have made her own playlist on on Spotify. She has a song she wants to hear every day when she gets in the car, which is a Dragon Ball Z song. And then her second song right now is Joe Hendry. So, I mean, grandpa influence all over the place.
Nobody judging you for that. We're encouraging it.
She's already smart. She's doomed to be kind of a nerd. So,
Doomed.
Just want her to know she's not alone. Also, she loved Labyrinth enough that she wanted to watch it again.
I believe in the babe. What babe? The babe with the power. Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan. Phones open 844-326-3663. That's 844-FANFONE. The text line is up and running as well. 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. What do you wish to see out of the Carolina Panthers this evening? I will tell you what you will not see as they enter as a 6.5-point underdog. And plus 425, I think, on the money line to win outright if you're into that sort of thing.
Winning.
So I will say even Rob Brown, host of Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon to 4 on the BetQL Network, does not gamble on preseason games because that's raw degeneracy. And anyway, make sure you tune into my sports gambling show every Saturday from noon to 4.
I'm glad you know where to draw the line. I mean, I hopefully Rashad is on today because I want to know why we should watch tonight. I mean, there's one reason and the reason why I watched last week was to watch how the kickoffs were handled, which, by the way, I kind of like.
Sean McVay said they're, quote, weird, end quote.
They are weird. They're very weird. And everyone, at least the announced teams, everyone has to figure it out. But I thought it added something to the game. I was very skeptical, but went into last Thursday's game watching. I was like, yeah, I kind of dig this. We'll see what happens tonight and how Carolina and New England. Yeah, that's it.
That's the ones.
How they handle it.
I am. I want to talk about the kickoff.
Yeah, because what are we watching the Panthers for? Because we're not going to see the quarterback.
So,
Let's
start with this. And I'm glad you brought this up because this is a conversation I've had with a lot of people a lot of times. If you're watching the NFL preseason and you are watching the NFL preseason to root for your team to win, you're watching it wrong. That's not what the preseason is for. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter. It doesn't do anything for you. All right. It's not a thing that you should be watching to brag about a dub or shamed about the L. The NFL preseason is for one thing and one thing alone. The NFL preseason is to just see your team, just see the status of your team. Now, does that do anything as a fan? No, because it's not like we're going to I can, y'all can't call up Dave Canales and be like, hey, yo, I think you need to move the third string guard on the left side up to second string guard on the right side. That's not a thing. But if you're like me and you like to know your roster, know your depth chart, if you like to see if you can pick up tendencies of different players, etc., if you like to sit on your couch and pretend that you're a coach, that's what the preseason is for.
See, to me, the preseason is a job fair. So we're getting to watch a job fair. And,
that's fair.
And we are seeing people put in their resumes and answering questions on the field about why they should get this job.
And that's fair. That's, I think, probably a more creative way to say what I was saying. I am looking at a couple of things. I will tell you, third and fourth quarter of these games, if you are one of those cats that goes, college football is better because there's more passion. There's more pride in the work. Then NFL preseason is absolutely for you. Because the dudes that are going to be playing in the back end of these contests are playing for their lives. They are playing for their jobs. Guys playing in the third and fourth quarter of this evening are playing to make the team and get a paycheck. So it's kind of enormous for them. So I will tune in for that. But for me, what am I looking for? Let's start with this. We want to say Dave Canales is a quarterback whisperer, right? That's why he got the job. His work with Geno in Seattle, his work with Baker in Tampa, that's why he got this job. Do we see Jack Plummer do anything tonight that makes you go, that guy looks like he's playing above his level? Jack, no Bryce Young. He's not going to get any playing time tonight. I'm going to go ahead and say he's not going to get any playing time next Saturday either. I don't think Bryce Young, in fact, I'll go one step further. I don't think Bryce Young's playing in the preseason. I don't agree with Dave Canales on that. I understand it. I don't like it. Why would you not play him in the preseason? Well, a couple of reasons. Number one, because your starting offense may not be all the way gelled yet. I want that entire offense gelled before I throw my quarterback to the metaphorical wolves. I want to make sure that my offensive line, left to right, tackle to tackle, I want to make sure they are 1,000% on the same page before I want to stick 5'8" Bryce Young behind them. Because if I stick him out there and they are not chemically, organically lockstep with each other, the chances that Bryce Young makes it to regular season week 1 go down dramatically. So I want to make sure those guys are lockstep. Number 2, I don't know what my running game looks like yet. And Lonzo and I have agreed on very little about the Panthers this year. But one of the things we have agreed on is that this team has got to go back to having that run-first mentality. They've got to go back to utilizing the run to both set up and, frankly, protect the passing game. I would like to see my run game develop its timing, its rhythm. I'd like to make sure that it is efficient before I put Bryce Young out there. With all due respect to Jack Plummer, you're the sacrificial lamb here. This team is not carrying 3 quarterbacks on the roster. You are QB3. This is your opportunity if you are Jack Plummer. This is your opportunity to earn the practice squad role for the Panthers or another team, or your opportunity to maybe compete for a backup spot elsewhere in the league, or to be at the top of the Rolodex. Do people still use Rolodexes?
Just one right over there, but it's not mine.
Yeah, but when's the last time that Rolodex got utilized?
I don't know. We'll have to ask Diesel.
We should look through it after the show. Let's see if there's anything in there.
I'm not. It's not mine, so I'm not. I don't do that.
I'm going through it after the show.
Okay.
I've been here 4 years. I've never seen anybody use it.
But again, it's from the other show. So,
I understand.
You know,
but even when the other show was here, I've never seen anybody use it. And we used to do a show that butted up with each other.
I mean, it's Diesel's, and so I don't mess with other people's stuff.
I'm saying in the 4 years I've been here, I've never seen it touched. Anyway, Jack Plummer has the opportunity to put himself onto the Rolodex.
So there's no chance that Jack Plummer comes along and wows everyone to the point where he takes Andy Dalton's job.
I mean, Andy Dalton as a backup has been remarkably consistent over the years. Hell, one of the 2 wins the Panthers got last year was under Andy Dalton, right? So, no, I mean, it's Andy Dalton's job unless this quad is going to become a long-term problem for him. But what I am looking to see is, does Jack Plummer, a guy that I think that at the best is competing to be QB1 on the Panthers practice roster, does he come out and make us go, damn, a little something special there? Because if the answer is yes, I might be willing to attribute that to Dave Canales. And if I'm willing to say Jack Plummer looks like the Panthers' best option as practice squad QB1, and he does well, then I go, maybe we do have a QB whisperer at the HC position. Maybe this is the right guy. And I think there'll be some level of confidence in the team that has grown off of that. So I'm looking for that. The offensive line. We're still waiting on what a game day depth chart is going to look like. Do we get all 5 starting? We talked about them already. If we get all 5 week 1 offensive linemen out there, including the 2 new guards, what do they look like? Is that chemistry good? Are they in rhythm with each other? Is their timing good? Is my pulling guard coming directly off the hip of the center, or is there a gap in there? These are the little things that I'm paying attention to in preseason football. If my center fires off the line, my guard is pulling left to right, and I need him in the hip pocket of the center. If that center fires and there's a foot of space between his ass and the shoulder blade of the guard pulling around him, that's disastrous. That's more than enough room. A defensive tackle in a 4-3 front is taught. If the lineman in front of you moves laterally, you know what you do? You dive into that spot. If you are playing the nose tackle and the center fires left and the guard pulls across your face, your job is to get your nose off the butt cheek of the center in front of the nose of the guard and to blow that up. So when a guard pulls, he's got to be bicep to butt cheek against the center firing off the line so that there is no wedge, so there's no gap for a defensive lineman to get an arm in there, blow that up, and now all of a sudden, the defensive end on the other side doesn't have an offensive guard kicking him out and opening up the hole for Chuba Hubbard or Miles Sanders or whoever is getting the nod at RB1 today. These are the little things. I will say it this way, at the risk of sounding some kind of way, at the risk of getting the ire of the great one drawn down upon thee. Preseason football is not for casuals. Preseason football is not for those of you that wake up on Sunday and go run your errands, go to church, go to the grocery store, whatever you do, and you get home and you turn on the TV at 12:59 for a 1 o'clock kick. This isn't for you. This is for those of us that have the TVs turned on 10 minutes before the Sunday pregame show starts. This is for those of you that wake up Sunday and you go to the Odyssey app and you go to the Fan Upstate and you turn that on and you're listening to the pregame shows. Preseason games are not for casuals. They are for people who get way too invested in their football teams. Like me. See you tonight. Follow me on social media. Maybe we'll do some live stuff during, after. We'll know. We'll see. I got the room all set up. Maybe we'll go live for a few minutes and talk a little NFL Carolina Panther preseason football. We will do that at 8:40 when Rashad Beard comes by. Rob Lonzo and you, the Rob Brown Show, the Fan Upstate.
Trying to figure out why you thought I would disagree with you there.
Because I said it with a very arrogant tone.
Oh, okay. I don't disagree just because you're arrogant. I mean, listen to this. Is this recent? Okay, because we're having transfer problems and the date is wrong. This says it was 2 days ago. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Okay. Injury settlement. So do you get money for saying I'm injured? And
You get money for you can't perform anymore. And so the team will give you a portion of your contract for you to move off the roster and give them that spot back.
Okay.
Wade Hampton has an issue at Highway 291 in both directions. From the news company.
I'd be interested to see how well Justin Fields and Brandon Ayuk, what their chemistry will be, since Justin Fields is going to be a starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. No one is. They haven't named a starter.
QB1 on the depth chart is absolutely Russell Wilson per Michael Tomlin yesterday.
We'll see.
At Lowe's, we know how to save pros time and money. Save 20% on 1 gallon cans and 5 gallon.
No, I do not want to see that. Block.
Job site when you order by 2 p.m. because Lowe's knows pros. Valid through 8/21. While supplies last. Discount ticket at time of purchase. See store at Lowe's.com for details. Must be single receipt purchase. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Meet Cheryl. Hey, she's on vacation and lost in the moment. Unfortunately, so is her Chase debit card.
It's got to be somewhere.
Maybe she lost it at salsa night.
These skirts should have pockets.
Or maybe she lost it at Pilates. But she's not worried. With the Chase mobile app, she can lock her card till it turns up. Tools that help protect. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, NA member FDIC.
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the Fan.
Stage 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Always live from the Free Odyssey. Now, the Infinity Sports Network. You don't need to check the clock. It's Rob Brown time. Now, weekday mornings from.
No Bryce Young in this evening's contest between the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots. Talked a little bit about it in the last segment. It is a, to me, very simple reason why. That simple reason why is I need to take care of that guy as much as I can. I don't want to say long-term, but I don't want to not say long-term. Future of the franchise is wrapped up in Bryce Young. Yesterday, I got into a conversation on the internet, avoid that if at all possible, with a Carolina Panther fan who said one of the things that they feel the Carolina Panthers need to do is be prepared to move on from Bryce Young if this doesn't work out. If this season doesn't work out, they need to be prepared to cut bait. And I thought, all right, let's think about that. Let's break that down a little bit. If it doesn't work out this year, my question mark is, number one, what is the mark, right? We've done this with the Clemson Tigers. We've done this with the Gamecocks of South Carolina. I have asked the fans of both of those teams to label what they would describe as success, so that at the end of this year, we can look back and we can say this team was or was not successful. And obviously that mark is subjective. I've got Clemson fans that have said second round of the playoffs. I've got Clemson fans that have said make the playoffs. I've got Clemson fans that have said win the ACC. I've got Clemson fans that have said make the ACC title. And I've gotten a host of Clemson fans that have given me some sort of numerical or statistical metric. I need to see this out of the offense or this out of the defense or this ranking or that, whatever. And I think that's all well and good. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing with any of them. I am simply saying I think you should have to put down a mark so that at the end of the year, we can say you were or were not successful based on your own metric. I did the same for Gamecock fans. What is a successful season? How are we defining it? Is it bowl eligibility? Is it 7 wins? Is it 8 wins? Is it a top 25 ranking at the end of the year? Is it converting this into a top 25, 2016, 15 recruiting class next year? What is the line of success? For the exact same reason. I want to, at the end of the season, be able to talk to a Gamecock fan and say, hey-o, you said going into this year that this was successful and they didn't meet the metric. What now? Or they cleared the metric, so where do we move it next year? I think it's fair to ask Carolina Panther fans to do the same thing. I think it is fair to ask Carolina Panther fans to define success this season for this team so that at the end of the year, we can look back and say this team was or was not successful based on you, based on your metric, your rubric for success.
I have a question for you, though, because you started off talking about moving on from Bryce Young. So if you have an equally as bad season as you did last year, and you have the number 1 pick again, and there's a quarterback out there, do you take them?
So that's exactly where I was going here. Because the conversation I was having online with a Panther fan where I asked him to define Bryce Young's success. What would you say is a successful season for Bryce Young this year? And they hit me with what the argument I've been making. I think a lot of that's going to have to do with defining or having a better grasp on the team that is around him. Again, I don't, and I know I'm one of 7 people, I absolutely do not define last year as a failure for Bryce Young. I don't. Because you were asking Bryce Young to win the Daytona 500 with a 97 Civic. It can't be done. I don't care if you stick friggin' Jimmy Johnson in that rig. He cannot win that race. So I think first and foremost, I think we've got to see, is this assembled roster, which is unquestionably better on paper than it was last year, is it better on the field than it was last year? And if the answer is yes, what do we define as a successful season for Bryce Young this year? And there's a couple of metrics. Number 1, I would like to see Bryce Young more in command of the set offense. We played you the clip the other day where he was on Good Morning Football, with Kay Adams, America's sweetheart, Kay Adams. And I don't think that's how that's supposed to go.
Yeah, that's not. I mean,
watching the high
is
jump.
she laughing or crying? I can't tell.
I'm gonna go yes.
She's laughing.
I'm gonna go yes. Is that a DQ or do you get a do-over? Nope, that's a DQ. Bummer, dude. What a way to go out of the high jump. The Olympics captivate me. They do. So the success for Bryce Young, number 1, is going to be, and one of the things that makes doing this specifically for a player and not a team is that it is going to be not just subjective, but it is also going to be, I think, subjective to the eye test. What I look at and see as a guy who has mastered command of an offense may not have the same look as what another guy feels. If I can watch a quarterback and go, that's a guy that has got the rhythm and the flow and the knowledge of the offense, and somebody else looks and goes, yeah, but he's got a 59% completion percentage. That's well below NFL average. That's not good enough.
And I believe that the majority of fans go and want to see their quarterback and their team do well, and they don't get into the analytics. They don't get into all that stuff. They just go, that was bad. That was a loss. I would like to see a win.
This is why, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I will eat the harsh words that inevitably come. I don't give a damn about that. I feel like that. I don't care. I don't care. This is why NFL teams don't put out a poll on Twitter and go, fans, what do you think we should do? Who do you think we should sign? Yeah, I don't know if you know this. Nerds run the world. They run everything. Your favorite thing is run by a bunch of eggheads who look at metrics.
Right.
Everything.
Don't do this. Don't burn out in the first hour, dude.
I don't burn out.
I think yesterday would prove otherwise.
You must chill. This is why nobody that's ever run a football team, including your Chiefs or Hoodie's Patriots or anybody else, has ever asked the fans what they want. They don't care, and they shouldn't. What I care about is, are there numbers that show me that this guy is improving? I'll give you one that the overwhelming majority of y'all, if I don't say another word about this and bring this up in week 7, none of you will have an answer for me. Well, like 4 of you will have an answer for me. What's going to be the average release time of a pass for Bryce Young?
I don't care.
I know
you
don't.
I think most people don't care. And I get that you get emotional about it and you yell and this is how it should be.
It's not emotional. It's that you dismiss it as if it doesn't matter.
Dude, your reaction is emotional. If you're getting animated and your blood pressure is getting up, that's emotion. Maybe you don't know what emotion is.
If you came to me and you said, hey, how's my investment doing? And I sit down and I say, well, over the year you have this return, and over the last decade you have this return, and it's got this and this and this, and you go, I don't care a bit of that. Is it good or is it bad? I'm going to go, well, then you shouldn't worry. You should let somebody who knows what they're doing handle this, because you don't.
And I'm going to get a different broker because I want one who doesn't talk down to me and isn't overly emotional.
You know what I want? I want somebody who gives a damn about being right, whether it hurts my feelings or not. That's what I want when it comes to something I'm invested in, like my money or my football team. All right?
Stop it, Jacob.
This is why Bill Belichick was able to, week in, week out, every time he touched a mic, be a hole, and he's still widely respected. This is why Nick Saban was referred to as the Nicktator during his time at Alabama. Because he didn't
You're
give
the only one I ever heard say that. But that doesn't mean...
as somebody who covered that team up close multiple years.
That's fine. I said, say that. You're the only one I ever heard say it. So
Nick Saban was and nobody cared. Why? Because bleep your feelings, I get results, right? So you can say, I don't care what his average release time on the pass was. What I'm telling you is that metric tells me multiple things. It tells me how comfortable he is in making a decision and executing the decision.
All right,
it tells
I
me
don't
how
care
efficient
about it
the
because you're
offense is.
using it as an excuse for why he's bad. He was really good at release, and all I see is bad footwork, and I see a bunch of other stuff. I could care less about his release if he doesn't complete a pass and if they don't win games. People want to watch football, and all sports are entertainment. You want to be entertained. You know what's not entertaining? Losses.
Correct. You know what doesn't just happen? We're good now. That's not how it works.
I think it can happen.
It literally doesn't happen.
I do think.
When's the last place in division to Super Bowl champion team you can think of? You can't. I don't think there's ever been one. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's been one.
Over time, you can look at Tampa Bay.
Over time. Overtime.
Yeah.
Yes. And how does that overtime process work? It's not just a matter of, hey, guys, suck less.
They got better players. They got a better quarterback. They got better things. So still comes down to the original question is, would you, with all your numbers and everything that you've done in the last 10 minutes, would you, if Bryce Young statistically has equally as bad of a year as he did last year, would you draft a quarterback number one if the team is able to do it next year?
Well, again, this has been a
By
problem.
the way, I would. I'm going to answer the question. I would. Because after 2 seasons, if you're still the same with that quarterback, even though you've got a bunch of different guys in there and all that kind of stuff, if there's a better quarterback out there, I'm getting that quarterback.
So now to arrive at the destination I was driving at, you taking Carson Beck? Is that your guy? You taking Shador Sanders? Is that your guy? Quinn Ewers? Is that your guy? See, the next step is, because
it's going to depend on how well they do this season.
You don't judge. Bryce Young won the Heisman.
Yeah, but at Alabama, and using your defense, he was surrounded by all these great players. Because anytime I talk about Ohio State, that's what you do.
So if Carson Beck wins the Natty and the Heisman, you're going to go, no, because he was at Georgia surrounded by great players, and now we know that doesn't work.
No, because I don't think like you. I'm going to look at it and go, this player is better than the one I have. I know I've invested money in this player, but it's a business. That guy's going to be better. I'm going to get that guy.
No idea if that's true. None.
And nor does anyone who drafts anybody.
And how do you figure it out? You look at metrics and performance. That's what I'm saying. What I'm looking for is the metrics and the performance of Bryce Young to tell me if at the end of this year, if Shador Sanders or Jalen Milroe or Connor Weigman are the guy. And what I said to this cat on the internet yesterday that triggered this whole conversation was this. I can't answer that question because when I look at the 2025 draft class, the number one ranked prospect right now is Carson Beck. I don't trust Carson Beck as an NFL quarterback yet. He to me is a guy that reminds me of J.J. McCarthy. I keep hearing how much high ceiling capability he has, and I look and I go, yeah, but does he really put it on display? Does he ever need to?
You just said you don't trust him. How many Panthers fans trust that Bryce Young's the guy?
Doesn't matter. He's the guy now. Doesn't matter. He's the guy now.
So
right?
Trust only matters on your side.
No. The guy I'm talking about, and I've done the research, is not on the Carolina Panther roster. Bryce Young is. The guy we were talking about is not getting paid tens of millions of dollars by the Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young is. So what I need to be able to do is take a look at the end of this season. I need to take a look at Bryce Young and be able to, with more than just my feelings, establish if he performed on an upward trajectory or not. And so how we determine that, I'd like to say we were going to get a look at tonight, but we're not. Instead, we find out if Jack Plummer is QB3 or not. Doesn't mean I'm not excited about the game. Also doesn't mean I'm not very excited about Lonzo's Sports Flash.
I'm ecstatic. The Carolina Panthers quarterback, Bryce Young, will not play in this evening's preseason game against the New England Patriots. Dave Canellis said a lack of competition for the starting role was the reasoning for sitting. Yeah, right. Backup quarterback Andy Dalton is out with a thigh injury, meaning Carolina will start Jack Plummer, who will, he said Jake, be backed up by recent signee Jake Luton. There's Jacks and there's Jakes. I mean, that's how that works. And the NFL is fined both the Detroit Lions and New York Giants $200,000 for multiple fights. I hope it was worth it. I mean, I do. We'll see. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, whole lot of fun, all Wire to Wire. Bill is back. Woo! I just guess, and Moles, you can say it because I don't care, that civil discourse is not available in this room. And yelling does imply that you're being emotional.
To give patients real lasting relief from pain, that's what I live for. That's my mission.
Get your free consultation now. Call QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 864-448-3772. That's 864-448-3772. 864-448-3772.
You have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou, a term provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you. Except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
Oh, it's LeBron.
You know, I couldn't figure out where French LeBron comes from until I saw his name. Aroldis Chapman threw a 105-mile-an-hour fastball last night. That's stupid.
What is the fastest fastball ever clocked?
Fastest fastball ever thrown. According to AI, September 24th, 2010, the same guy threw one at 105.8. He also was throwing a 105.7 in 2016 and 105.4 in 2016. I don't know what last night's exact tenth of a second number was. There are 3 pitchers in history that have thrown a 105-mile-an-hour pitch. Ben Joyce did it for the Angels in 2000. Did it this year. Chapman, Jordan Hicks, and who's the last one? I don't know who the last guy is.
So if a deadened ball makes the ball not go as far, does it affect pitching speed?
Theoretically, no. Theoretically, no.
Is it a heavier ball? Because I think a heavier ball.
No, so the ball has to fall within a certain exact weight specification. What they change is the compound on the inside. So the ball is made of 3 layers. It's made of the leather cover. It's made of a string composite that is tightly wrapped around a rubber compound interior.
I saw the natural. I know how that works.
And so what they'll do to juice or deaden the ball is change the density of that inside core to make it either more solid or more light or less dense, I guess.
So it's more of when the bat hits it, how much it springs.
How spring it is. That's exactly what it is.
Is that how you and Mark Ryan looked when you were playing table tennis?
No, I suck at table tennis. Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Shout out to friend of the show, Tiger Pal Rachel, who just sent us a tweet at the Rob Brown Show, at Lonzo Onward. Tiger Pal Rachel said, in Fort Worth this morning to watch the CrossFit Games, but guess who I'm listening to as I get ready? That's how much you guys are a part of my morning routine. Thanks for being awesome and entertaining. You're very welcome, Tiger Pal Rachel, and thank you for taking us with you down to Fort Worth, Texas. We appreciate you being part of the Armada every single day. Absolute P1 status, without a doubt. We appreciate you, Rachel, and we appreciate all of you that tune in and listen every single morning to just a couple of guys who know ball. All right? We're very grateful to have you because if we didn't have you, we'd just be two raving lunatics screaming at each other in an empty room. So thank you for being here. We appreciate it dramatically. Hey, we got a lot to get to. A lot of football to talk about on the show this morning. We have got preseason ball coming up today with the Carolina Panthers on the road, the New England Patriots. That game to go kick off with the new kickoff rules at 7 p.m. We were at the bachelor party last Thursday night when the Hall of Fame game kicked off. And myself, the little brother, and a couple of the bros that were there watched that kickoff. I put it on my phone because I got there after kickoff. So by the time that I got there, I was like, all right, let me kind of catch up on this game a little bit. Let me go back. Let me watch the opening kick with the new rules. And I watched it. You know it's coming. You know what it looks like, right? I've watched enough USFL, USL, UFL, XFL, whatever other FLs we want to talk about that have used this kickoff model. I knew what it looked like, yet to watch it between two teams with NFL logos on, Sean McVay said it best when he said, quote, "It's weird," end quote. I don't think there's a better way to describe it. It is weird. It is going to take some getting used to. Will we get used to it? Yes, we will. Just like we've gotten used to every other change that's come through the game in forever and always. I'm sure when they instituted the forward pass, a couple of y'all's great-great-grandpappies were like, "This is weird and I don't like it." But it's the game. The game changes. The game evolves. We'll get used to it. It is weird, though.
I know it's weird, but I thought I would hate it, and I don't. Maybe I will grow to hate it. But right now, I understand why it's been instituted, and I think it's creative when you think there's no way that they can change a part of the game and not completely take away from the game. I think this might add something.
So one of the things when we talked about preseason football, we're coming to the water cooler cheat sheet here in just a minute, so hold your horses, all right? One of the things that Lonzo and I talked about last week on the show was, what do you watch for in the preseason game? And we got into this conversation when the Bears announced that Caleb Williams wasn't going to play in last week's Hall of Fame game. And somebody texted the show and said, well, if Caleb Williams isn't playing, what am I watching for? What's the point of watching here? And I went through a lot of the same things I went through earlier this morning. That is to say, I'm watching for different aspects of the game. I'm watching for any tendencies I can pick up amongst potential starters. I'm watching for depth, who are going to be the guys that step in when the guy goes down, etc. Alonzo brought up, aren't we kind of looking at the new kickoff? And the answer is yes, but I kind of feel like we're going to watch the new kickoff in preseason the way that you spend those first 2 days when you are shopping for a new car. That is to say, you might drive on the lot, you might look around, but you're probably not jumping behind the wheel on day one, right? The first thing you want to do is you want to put together a list of the things that you're looking for. Am I looking for a compact? Am I looking for a sedan? Am I looking for luxury? Am I looking for a mid-size SUV, a crossover, a full-size SUV, a pickup truck? I don't know what I'm looking for yet. So first I gotta get down to my genre of car. And then once I decide, okay, I want a crossover SUV. The next thing that I'm looking at is, all right, do I want 3 rows, 2 rows, bucket seats, bench seat? Now I got to kind of get down to the specifics of the ride. And then once I've kind of got all of that put down in together, once I've kind of dialed in on what I want that car to look like, then I start going on test drives. And hey, I might find out that I wanted a crossover, but I took a test drive and I got off the dealership down the first highway and I went, nah, actually, this sucks. Actually, I hate this. And I'm scrapping it and going back to the driving board. Or I get a mile down the road and I go, this is it. This is how I want to do it. This car drives great. This is everything I've ever wanted. I kind of feel like we're just walking the lot with the new kickoff rules right now. That is to say, we're not dialing into the specifics. We don't have a great plan put together yet. We're kind of working on the fringe to find out what works and what doesn't. What do we like and what don't? And as we get closer and closer to it, we'll start honing in on, I want to do it this way. I want that specific, etc. And that'll be week 1. The other thing is, what's the worst thing that every James Bond villain does in every James Bond movie? They get Bond, they get him tied to a chair, and then they go on to a 15-minute monologue about why they're doing bad guy stuff. No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. I'm out here changing the world because the British government for years has been holding down society. Nah, shut up and shoot him. Just shut up and shoot the guy. The movie's over if you shut up and shoot the guy, but instead they monologue for 15 minutes. And what happens in that 15 minutes? Bond figures it out. He puts 2 and 2 together. He gets his escape plan and he stops the bad guy. So if you're putting together a kickoff return routine that you expect is going to break Bond, is going to give you some early advantages in the season, I'm not putting that on display in the preseason. I'm going to keep it for the close portion of practice. I'm going to hold it close to the vest. And in 4 weeks, when we kick off week 1, then we'll break it out. Then we'll see what it's going to look like on the field of play against an active opponent. Not yet. So watch it to get a feel for it. Watch it to get a vibe of what the foundation of the kickoff return looks like. But don't watch it expecting that you're going to see what it's really going to look like when toe meets leather week 1. Hey, toe meets leather of this, that's not good. It's 7:08. You're on your way to work. Abbreviated version of this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
"Oh no, don't start."
Their first bathroom break.
No.
Here we go. Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
Shout out to Michael, Joe, Mace, Jacob that are all on the Facebook live stream right now. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, Fan Upstate, or The Rob Brown Show on YouTube, The Rob Brown Show on Twitch. You can join and watch all 4 hours of the show live all 5 days of the week, every day of the week, and we hope you do. Water cooler cheat sheet, top 3 sports stories in the world of sports. Let's dive head first with item number 1. The NCAA has announced the 4-year show cause order for. Oh wait, I gotta get the glasses on because it's time for another edition of Law and Order Ann Arbor. The NCAA announced a 4-year show cause order for former Michigan coach Jim Harbaugh on Wednesday for impermissible contact with recruits and players while access was restricted during the COVID-19 pandemic, effectively banning him from college athletics until August of 2028. The NCAA said Harbaugh, who left his alma mater to coach the Los Angeles Chargers after last season's national championship, quote, engaged in unethical conduct, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance, and violated head coach responsibility obligations. The NCAA, okay, that's enough of that. The NCAA had already put Michigan on 3 years probation along with the fine and recruiting limits after reaching a negotiated resolution in the case, but Harbaugh did not go along with that agreement, disputing allegations that he failed to cooperate with investigators, so his case was handled separately. The NCAA said, quote, the panel noted that Harbaugh's intentional disregard for NCAA legislation and unethical conduct amplified the severity of the case and prompted the panel to classify Harbaugh's case as level 1 aggravated, with penalties to include a 4-year show cause order. Submitted in the show cause order is a 1-season suspension for Harbaugh. Effectively, if dude gets his bootay whipped in the NFL and decides he wants to go back to collegiate football, he will have to eat a 1-year suspension per the NCAA. So if a school hires him, they hire him to sit on the couch for the first season before he can return to the football field. And if a school wants to hire him within the next 4 years, that school will have to go in front of the NCAA and make a successful argument as to why they want to hire him and why they should be allowed to hire him despite his egregious violations against the association. Now, why did Harbaugh catch a 1-year suspension on a 4-year show cause and nobody else has gotten hammered? Well, number one, because Harbaugh fought it. Michigan settled everything else. They took all the other slaps on the wrist the NCAA handed down. Harbaugh said, nah, I ain't doing that. Fight me, bro. And the NCAA did. Number two, and here's my conspiracy theory, quick, put on your tinfoil caps. Reason number two is Harbaugh's not in the NCAA anymore. He's not under that umbrella. Ella, A. He's now in the NFL. The NCAA got to do something here that I think that they have been doing their darndest to avoid for the past a very long time. That is, show some teeth. Actually, put some discipline on the table. I've already told you, I think the NCAA right now is very skittish about hammering down on discipline, and I think they are very skittish on hammering down discipline right now because they want everybody to look favorably upon them. By everybody, I mean not you, regular football fan. They don't care about you. You're not going anywhere. They are talking, I am talking about the folks in the Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference, primarily two organizations that whenever they get the chance to go start their own league somewhere else, they are going to, because there'll be more dinero available to them at that point. What they get to do here is look like they have some teeth while effectively doing nothing at all. Because why is Harbaugh going to fight this, right? He's not. He's not going to fight this at all. There's no point for him to fight this at all. So they get to go, see, look, everybody, we brought the hammer down. And they know they're not going to have to, defend themselves about it. A feckless organization gets to look like they've got some rocks about them, even if they don't.
Does this is this just a precursor to what they're going to do to present coach?
I don't think they're going to do anything to Sharon Moore. I think they will, at most, he might catch a 2-game suspension.
Even with all the deleted texts and all that sort of thing. So you don't think?
No, I don't. Because again, I think they're going to do all that they can not to upset the Big Ten. And upsetting Michigan in a year in which they're defending the national championship, upsetting Michigan is upsetting the Big Ten. Same as it would be upsetting Ohio State or USC or Oregon. That's a weird sentence to say. But upsetting Michigan is upsetting the Big Ten. And right now the NCAA is doing all they can to buddy up and be cozy with those two conferences. I think. We'll talk more about this later on the show. Let's get very quickly to item number 2. A 59-game win streak remains intact after the Team USA women's basketball squad took home a big win last night over Nigeria. The women able to put it together after a let's say, much more competitive first half than you would have liked, walk away with an 88-74 victory over Nigeria. The Americans last night sat Diana Taurasi. She did not get the start. They went with Jackie Young, who scored 15 points and chipped in a couple of assists as well. You got 20 out of Asia Wilson, gangsta, 9 of 11 from the floor, 2 of 2 from the stripe, and had 11 boards in a double-double effort last night. 11 points off the bench for Brittany Griner in a reserve role. Kelsey Plum had only 6 points and 4 assists, but she played the last 6 minutes of the first half, and she was a defensive wizard, Ari. Last night, Kelsey Plum was spectacular in her reservist role. The Americans, 59 consecutive wins. They are on to the semifinals where they will take on Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. Australia in the semifinals, looking to make it win number 60 and earn their berth into the gold medal round.
We're fighting. I'm not gonna give you
We're
anything.
not fighting. What are we fighting about?
For the entire first hour, it was nothing but battle.
It was not battle.
It was battle.
It was embrace debate, man. Embrace debate.
Embrace means hug, and I'm not doing that.
That's not what embrace means. That's what embrace as a verb means. So I guess embrace is always a verb.
Yeah, I'm just okay.
But it doesn't mean like literally hug. All right, whatever. Item number 3. The Braves lose again. Can I just record myself saying the Braves lose again and just make that it all the time?
You are being recorded saying, I mean, I can lift it and send it to you if you want. Or you can just point at me and I'll just play it every time. I mean, but they don't lose every time. I'm sorry they lost yesterday, but
again. 8-5, the Braves drop one last night to the Milwaukee Brewers. They are now 7 games over 500, and despite a ridiculous backslide from the Philadelphia Phillies and an opportunity for the Braves to kick the door down, instead, they do the opposite. They are moving back in the wrong direction, now 7.5 games back over Philly. But here is the worst thing. They are now just a half a game on top of the New York Mets within the National League East. And I said 2 weeks ago that by last Tuesday, the Braves would be in the second wild card spot. I was correct because 4 days later, they were behind the New York Mets. Granted, for one night, but I was still right.
Do you not want them to make the playoffs?
At this point, no.
Okay.
I have now entered root against my team territory. It sucks. I hate it. It's the worst place to be as a sports fan. But I have officially entered root against my team territory. Why? Because remember what I also said 2 Tuesdays ago when I said by next Tuesday, the Braves will be out of the top wildcard spot in the National League? I made a second prediction, Lonzo. I said that by the Tuesday following, they would be out of the second wildcard position. It took 2 days longer than I thought, but the Braves now in the third wild card spot in the National League and just a half game up on the fourth, the New York Mets. The Braves, and I mean this, ladies and gentlemen, the Braves may not make the playoffs. I don't want them to. I mean, they may not make the playoffs. We'll talk more baseball later in the show. The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live and we're coming back. Good morning, everybody. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
Mad World next break.
Mad World next break. The Atlanta Braves are now in the third wild card spot in the National League and just a half game up on the New York Mets. They are now 5-5 in their last 10 contests. Now, there's good news about this. I was on BetMGM tonight, last night. I do a hit with that nationally syndicated show every Wednesday at 7:20 p.m. They bring me on to talk a little bit of everything. Last night, we spent a good bit of time on the baseballs. Trista Crick said, hey, Rob Brown, what team do you think helped itself the most at the trade deadline? And I said, that's a wonderful question, Trista. Instead, I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to ask what team did not help themselves at the trade deadline. And my answer was the Atlanta Braves. How disappointing is this team right now? This team is so disappointing right now that Rob Brown took off the cap he always wears on the radio. That cap is his non-biased analyst cap. A cap that is forever implanted on me when I am doing the radios, whether it is my own show or acting as a guest on someone else's. I do my best in order to be as, not just non-biased, but recognized as such by the masses. Now, that's not to say I have not acknowledged that I am an Atlanta Braves fan on the BetQL network multiple times. But what I do is am brutally honest. In fact, Lonzo pointed this out yesterday. There is nobody that hates on my teams more than me. I think I hate on the Braves sometimes, like more than Phillies fans do. And Phillies fans hate the Braves. I absolutely crapped on this team nationally last night. Why? All the reasons I've told you. Because it's the same dumb crap over and over. Now, in fairness, Brian Snicker actually did a thing last night. He got the hook, got ejected last night. Got ejected last night for arguing balls and strikes because last night, the umpire in the Braves 8-5 game was 8-5 loss to the Brewers was embarrassingly bad. Brian Walsh was the home plate umpire last night. And as I have said many times, if you are an umpire, you should be prepared to make good money to do a thankless job. If you are an umpire and I know your name before you retire, you've done a bad job. I'm a fan of the show Parks and Recreation. Big fan of the show Parks and Recreation. Have watched that series through a couple of times. There is a scene in that show where Leslie Knope, portrayed by the lovely and hilarious Amy Poehler, is speaking with Ron Swanson, portrayed by the handsome and hilarious Nick Offerman. Ron Swanson is a hilarious caricature, but often the voice of reason for Leslie Knope within the show. And Leslie Knope, after doing an entire episode where the whole premise was that she was going to go out and get her hands dirty doing the dirty work to help out the people in the community of Pawnee, Indiana, with tasks that the city should be doing but has not, in order to make their lives better. And every time she goes out and does a thing, somebody comes up and complains about the way she did it or the order in which she did it or that she didn't do it the way that they wanted it done, etc., etc. And Nick Offerman has a conversation with her and says, hey, you have chosen to do a thankless job, so do not be surprised when nobody thanks you for it. You have got to learn to take satisfaction in your work and not in receiving praise for it from others. Major League Baseball umpires. Brian Walsh did an awful job last night. The strike zone had no bottom to it. at all. And the Braves were cost by that. It's still not good enough. All right. Still not good enough. Atlanta struck out, I think 16 times in that game last night. I'll go check just to make sure. 15 times in that game last night. Of their 27 outs, 15 of them were Ks. That's not great, Bob. Snick got real mad about it. Snick came out. Snick got into a heated debate with the umpire, and Snick got bounced. Snick got bounced. Austin Riley then turned around and hit a 2-run dinger in the 5th inning. Still not good enough, but hey, at least he hit the baseball, I guess. That's nice. Anyway, 2 Tuesdays ago, we were at ACC Media Days, and we were talking about the Atlanta Braves, and I said, hey, look, by next Tuesday, the Braves will be out of the number 1 overall wild card spot. I was right. By that Friday night, the Braves surrendered the second place spot in the NL East to the New York Mets. They have since taken it back, but they are precariously close to giving it right back to the Mets, who are an okay baseball team. Except for, it doesn't matter because now the San Diego Padres and Arizona Diamondbacks have both hurdled the Atlanta Braves. Those 2 teams are now tied for the first overall wildcard spot. That makes the Braves, by default, the 3rd wildcard spot. On that same Tuesday 2 weeks ago, when I said the Atlanta Braves a week from that Tuesday would not hold on to the number 1 overall National League wildcard spot, I said by the end of 2 Tuesdays from now, they will not have the number 2 wildcard spot. Now, I have noted by looking at a calendar that today is Thursday. I was off on my prediction by a whopping 2 days. But I don't know what you want me to say. This team is just organically, chemically bad. There is no rhythm. There is no flow. I go back to the Braves wild card team from a couple of years ago. That team was fun to watch play. I hate to say that. That's a cliche. Alonzo and I had an entire first hour discussion, definitely not a fight, about the concept of analytics and numbers, data versus emotion when you are evaluating the progress of a team. That Braves team 2 years ago, organically, chemically, fun to watch. I mean, they clicked. This team does the opposite of that. This team is just clunky. They are not disciplined. They're certainly not fun. I actively avoided last night's game. Last night was a wonderful opportunity for Rob Brown to sit down and watch a Braves game. And in years gone by, that's what would have happened. There was nothing on the TV. I had watched all the Olympics during the daytime, including the women's basketball game. So I was up to date on what I wanted to see out of the Paris Olympics. So last night was a perfect night to watch baseball. You know what Rob Brown did instead of watching the Braves last night? I sat on the couch with my gorgeous fiance and my adorable dog, and I watched an episode of Law & Order SVU. Cameoing, by the way, Bill Goldberg as a meth-up domestic abuser.
Wow.
Yeah. He was terrifying.
Did they put hair on him? Or it is?
Nope. It was Bill Goldberg.
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
No toupee. No nothing. Flannel shirt, no sleeves on it. Doing his best Bork laser impression. Which was wild. He came on and I went, is that Bill Goldberg? And my fiance went, who? And I said, oh, strap in, sweetheart. You're about to go for a ride. And walked her through the entire history of Bill Goldberg's Who's Next era, to be followed up from her, the comment, can you push play, please?
You should have said former Georgia football player who I'm sure she saw, because the Gamecocks has played Georgia forever. So at some point she saw him play
I'm pretty
football.
sure she was like 5 when he played football at Georgia.
Doesn't mean that they weren't watching in her household.
Who started for the Buckeyes when you were 5?
Somebody.
Somebody's good enough.
Dude, I don't know who started last year.
Not Bill Goldberg.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So the point here is I elected, instead of watching baseball, to watch old episodes of Law & Order SVU cameoing Bill Goldberg, which was real wild, by the way. Also, did you know there's a whole Law & Order series starring Jeff Goldblum?
Yeah, we've had this discussion
I think we
on the air
have, right?
before. And then you went back and
He's full
watched
Jeff
them all.
Goldblum.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible. It was a murder. There was a murder. There was one that was a murder mystery, like old Clue style, starring Jeff Goldblum in a legitimate Law and Order. It was incredible. Blah, blah, blah. Point is, this team's clunky. I'm glad that Brian Snicker did something. Okay? Too little, too late, bud. And I don't think the manager getting bounced is going to suddenly save a team that has the worst offensive outfield in Major League Baseball. And oh, by the way, it's not particularly close. The Braves outfield could have 4 perfect 4-for-4 games, and they might catch Seattle's offense in the outfield at number 29. They're tragic right now. And what have the Braves done to address that? They went and got Jorge Soler from the Giants and nothing else. Trista goes, wait a minute, Rob. Wait a minute. They made some moves. And I went, yeah, they got Eddie Rosario. She said, yeah, he won a World Series there. And I said, right. And then he went to Washington where he was DFA'd, cut by the Nationals. The Nationals are the 3rd worst team in the National League. They're like the 6th worst team in baseball. And he wasn't good enough to play for them. You think that was the move? I don't get it. I don't understand it. Here's what I will say. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again today after the Braves drop another one and are now just a half game up on the Mets. Brian Snicker, thank you for the World Series trophy. Thank you for allowing me one of the greatest nights of my life. Thank you for allowing me to FaceTime with all my Braves buddy 7 sheets to the wind on a random Tuesday night or whatever it was and celebrate a World Series. It's time to go. It is time to move on. I am now in the worst place that you can be as a fan emotionally. I am rooting against the Atlanta Braves now because this team's not good enough to win a World Series. And if they make the playoffs, they're just going to get bounced, but Snit stays around. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
Mad World.
All right, guys, quick live, and we're back. Stay right there.
because we're getting
How do old people live in Florida?
because we're getting a touch of the hurricane, and anytime we do this, I feel like I'm going to die. Does it affect you differently if you're like in the epicenter? I don't know.
Oh man. How do old people live in Florida? If you're an old person living in Florida, you've got some money. And if you have money, I think the weather bothers you less.
You think so?
Yeah.
Because I think pain's still pain. I mean, unless you're deadening it with something, which they might be. I don't know. I don't like looking and seeing the trees outside doing what they're doing because I know my 30, 40-foot trees are doing the same thing. When you see huge branches lay on the ground and you think that could have been on top of me, that would be bad. Or that I'll go home today and in the middle of the nap be impaled by a falling tree. No, that is always a.
Please don't.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's up to you.
Well, we talked about when we go, we want to go out spectacular. I mean, that's going to get some headlines.
So the track uniforms we've been calling gray the last couple of days are actually purple, and they are made up of super thin alternating red and blue pinstripes to make them look purple. And I kind of dig them. I kind of want a t-shirt. I do not want a leotard though.
Why not? I mean, if you only see the top part, it looks like is it full on leotard or is it like wrestling singlet?
I think that a lot of the ones they're wearing. I mean, some of those guys wear shorts, but I still think they're leotard with short shorts over. I've asked this question before, but I'll ask it again because it's a different conversation when it's you. Like I'm just another dude who just happens to have a most righteous job, dudes. But I'm still just a man.
No way.
I know. I'm just a human being, okay? I have feelings. I have emotion.
Not on this show. You're not supposed to do that.
Let it out, man. Let it out. Sometimes you just got to let your heart sing. Okay?
Was that a Deadpool quote? I don't know. It sounded like a Deadpool quote.
Really enjoyed. Still haven't talked about that movie because your spoiler window.
That's your spoiler window.
Golly, it's happening to me. Your spoiler window is up tomorrow.
Well, I saw it 2 weeks ago, so I mean,
right. I saw it last week.
And I'm not going to the movies tonight because I'm staying home to watch the Panthers.
Me too.
And I was
Wait, what were you going to go see?
Borderlands. We think it's going to be bad. We think it's probably going to be really bad.
I do too.
But you know, it's the kind of movie.
You're going with hope, though.
Well, it's the kind of movie that people listen to the show on Saturday would probably go to see.
Also true.
So I feel like I owe them to go see it. But we're going to go see it tomorrow night because I want to see what it's like on a Friday night. But anyway, I'm going to stay home and watch the Panthers. But 2 weeks ago, I saw Deadpool.
Correct decision. Your spoiler window ends tomorrow. We may or may not do a Fanboy Friday tomorrow.
Yeah, you tease that all the time.
I know.
Never do it.
We'll see how it plays out. Anyway, so I have feelings. I have emotions. I have a heart. It's okay, fellas, to have a little emotion outside of Friday nights at the bar, okay? This is one of them. I think last night, at the end of the Braves' 8-6 loss to the Milwaukee Brewers, I think I hit a spot that none of us want to be in. That is the spot where you start rooting against your team. You start hoping that your team loses. I hit this spot last year with our New Orleans Saints. If you were listening to the show at the end of last year's football season, you're aware of that because I said it a lot. I said, I hope we lose. I hope we lose every game. And people said, why, Rob? Why would you say that about your own team? And my response was, because if we end this year with a winning record, we will keep Dennis Allen. And if we keep Dennis Allen, we will lose again. And and this is another one of those emotions, do not like to lose. I'm not a fan. As I've said many times in the past, if you live to, let's say, the ripe old age of, I don't know, what's fair, 80? You have roughly, and this varies by family, you got roughly like 65 football seasons that you care, like you like really care. Which means that every single football season, and this I would say is true for just about everybody. Every football season is over 1% of the total football seasons that you will get to enjoy in your lifetime. So every year that your football team stinks is over 1% of your football love in life that was wasted. Because I'm not saying I've got to win the Super Bowl or win the national championship to enjoy my football season. What I'm saying is, I got to believe there's a chance. I got to have fun. And winning is fun and losing is not fun. Well, guess what, kids? Baseball season, exact same numbers as football season. Every baseball season is over 1% of my total lifetime number of baseball seasons. And so if the Bravos suck, that's a year I don't get to thoroughly enjoy. It's not to say there won't be some fun nights. Me and the boys went to a Braves game last Friday Eve against the Miami Marlins and had a wonderful evening. I thoroughly enjoyed that night. You can have a wonderful one-night stand and a terrible love life. Some of us have been there. Not me. Some of y'all have been there, obviously. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not enjoying it, not because I expect the Braves to be like a world-class dominant team this year. I'm not enjoying it because they should be, and they're not. And it's one thing if you come into the season and you know this is kind of a write-off year, all right? Because the other thing is, it's pro sports. Not every team can be successful every year. Of those, let's say if you're lucky, let's say if you're lucky, 65 seasons that you will enjoy in your lifetime. You got to understand that like 20, 25, maybe 30, maybe a third of them are seasons that you go into knowing, yeah, it's not our year. But you want to be working towards a year where it is our year. The problem is this could be a year where it could be the Braves' year. The Braves over-under win total this season was set at 101.5. 101.5 should not just get you into the playoffs. It should theoretically have you as like one of the top two teams in your league in the playoffs. The Braves might, maybe, possibly, might win 85 games this year. That means they'll be looking at being 17-ish games below their expectation this year. And I can't figure out why. And unfortunately, and it is a hazard of the gig, unfortunately, if you have a team and you can't figure out why that team is bad, especially if you, as Lonzo and I do, know ball. If you know ball and you go, I can't figure out why this team is bad. I can't understand why this team is bad. You kind of have to point the cannons at the manager, at the head coach at that point, don't you? Like if things are going wrong consistently, if things are going wrong, if things are maintaining their wrongness, and in looking around, you can't figure out why. You can't figure out what it is that is driving them to wrongness. It is at that point that you have to look and go, I kind of got to put that on the coach. And how long do you wait for things to go wrong before you go, yeah, but like we really like the guy, right? Snit, won a Lombardi. Snit won a World Series. Snit won a World Series, and it was an amazing, amazing time. One of those 1% in my life allowed me to enjoy a pleasure I had not enjoyed since I was a child, a Braves World Series victory. But here we are a couple of years later, having put together a team that should be competing. I'm not saying win, should be competing. And instead, we are free falling down the wild card rankings. I have already said, I think there's a better than 0% chance, a pretty better than 0% chance the Braves may not make the playoffs at all. And if they do, they might be going in as a bottom tier wildcard team, which means that the path to a World Series would be as difficult as possible. I don't like that. I am, as a very famous man once said, straight up not having a good time, dude. It's just not fun right now. So, I am sorry to say that I have to point that at Brian Snitker. And while I very much appreciate, as I mentioned earlier, Brian Snitker doing what Brian Snitker did to get me the opportunity to enjoy that World Series, I don't have years to let him get back to it again. I don't have years to hope that Alex Anthopoulos that makes it sound like he got lucky. Alex Anthopoulos was a wizard at the trade deadline the year the Bravos won the World Series. I don't have years to wait for Alex Anthopoulos to do it again. I really thought the Braves were going to shock everybody and be very active at the trade deadline. They weren't. They got Jorge Soler, which I appreciate, and nothing else. We're going to rest on the same roster that has accomplished very little. Yes, I know that at the time the Braves had the number 1 overall wild card. But let's keep it a buck. That, I think, had more to do with the fact that everybody else was pedestrian. The other question that Trista Crick asked me last night was, how is it that with the exception of the teams that are at the top of the AL and the NL, those teams being the Yankees, who are first in the American League, the Royals, that are third in the American League, the Diamondbacks and the Padres, who are first and second in the National League, and the Giants, who use this leap to get to 500, there is not, outside of those teams, not a team better than 6-4 in the last 10. Everybody else is 6-4 below. Why? And my answer was, I'm pretty sure it's because Rob Manfred knows voodoo. Because there's no explanation for the parity we have in this league right now. The parity is very good. In the American League, there are 8 teams within single digits of the top of the American League rankings right now. In the National League, every team with the exception of the Marlins and the Rockies is within single digits of the top wildcard spot. That is a manager's specific kind of dream when you ask what you want it down the stretch to look like. Any other year, the Braves have free fallen down to the bottom of the National League. They're lucky the league looks the way it looks right now. Snit is not the guy anymore. It's unfortunate to say. And it pains me, but it is what it is. You know who is the man, the guy, the dude, H-I-M, him? Lonzo.
No denying over here. Let's take pleasure in this. Former Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh has been handed a 4-year show cause order from the NCAA for impermissible contact during a COVID-19 recruiting restricted area, effectively banning him from college athletics until August of 2028. The NCAA said in their ruling that Harbaugh engaged in unethical conduct, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance, and violated head coach responsibility allegations. Harbaugh, of course, said, nah, man, I didn't do that. The University of Texas has lost starting running back C.J. Baxter for the season to a knee injury. Baxter, who replaced Jonathan Brooks after his injury last season, rushed for just under 700 yards and 5 touchdowns last year in relief. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. It's all Wire to Wire. I swear this table tennis match has been going on for an hour. Unless they're just like playing the same match over and over again. I mean, how long does this thing last? It's been going longer than a basketball game.
They're battling, though.
They are.
We're watching table tennis. Don't you dare call it ping pong. Is that true, Trey? Pardon me, everybody. It's gross, I know. It's also been all freaking week.
They're long distancing now.
French LeBron has won 4 or 5 points back against the wall with Wang slamming the ball, and he has to do that thing where he's like up against the back wall and he hits it way up in the air to get it to drop, and he just sets him up, and Wang just keeps hitting him into the net. LeBron keeps slamming Wang in the door.
See what he did there. So, but am I understanding it wrong? Is China up 2 sets?
4 sets. 1 point in this contest.
So what's the 2 and the to the left?
Actually...
So the 4-4, that's the present score. I don't know what the 2.
Hang on, I'm about to find out. You win a game by reaching 11 points. Must be ahead by 2. Okay, so you play the far right, the light blue box is the points.
This is the game that they're in. Yeah.
When you win a game, it goes into the second box to the left. When you get to either 5 or 7, I don't know what the Olympics uses, you take that set, which is this one. So
right.
China's
so it's up 2-0
in the overall.
That's what I thought.
China's winning this game, but France has more in this set of games. And if they get to either 5 or 7, then they will put a point.
Yeah,
there.
but how
And
many
it's
do you
best
have
of
to
5.
have to win?
Best 5.
Okay. Well, it's like the best of 5 rounds. It's not best of 5 games.
It's just like tennis. It's game, set, match. So it's 6-6 in the game, 1-0 in this set, 2-0 is the match total. So China's winning the match 2-0, which is the overall.
Okay.
Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts now. Got a text a few minutes ago on the text line that I adore. Texter said, Rob Brown has hit the Rob Brown bull. I'm speaking in the third person as Rob Brown on the Rob Brown Show. Quotient that bull. Wonderful text. Wonderful text. Rob Brown appreciates that text about Rob Brown here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I am, and this is true, Rob Brown. On the other side of the metaphorical glass this AM, he is the Wizard of Wave, the Professor of Perfection, the Sultan of Sound. We call him the Variable. The great one, Lonzo, is here. Your three-time South Carolina Broadcasters Association sports talk radio show of the year, which, by the way, you can be a part of right now by jumping on the Renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone at 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. You can also shoot us a text at 71307. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, and we will read them on the show this lovely Thursday morning. I would also like to inform you, not that you don't already know this, because you, if you are listening to the show, of course, know ball and are not a casual. It is Carolina Panther game day, dudes and dudettes. Preseason game numero uno is this evening at 7 p.m. when the Panthers are on the road at Gillette to take on the Bill Belichick-less New England Patriots. Gerard Dukes Mayo taking over as the HC for the Pats. He'll get his first chop at it this evening when he hosts not Bryce Young. No BY going tonight, according to Dave Canales. Instead, you will get Jack Plummer as your starting QB because Andy Dalton is down and out with a quad injury. Jack Plummer, Jake Luton will get the backup role and arguably the majority of the snaps in the second half. We are waiting for the rest of the Panthers' injury and depth chart to drop to see what tonight is going to look like. We will get some thoughts on that from Rashad Beard, the host of the Panther Nation podcast, coming up at 8:40. Rashad sent me a text a little while ago saying that he is good to go today, provided the weather doesn't knock his power out between here and there.
All right, so listen, it's worse in North Carolina for sure. They had problems getting people there for AEW last night, which was in North Carolina. I just wanted to look up Jack Plummer's, who he is a little bit. He played for Purdue, so he's a Big Ten guy. Are any of the starting receivers playing?
Again, I don't know yet.
Because if they are, it's going to be difficult for them because Jack Plummer is 6'5".
6'5".
Yeah, so I mean, where the ball's coming from is going to be totally different. I don't know how tall is Dalton. Dalton's got to be around there too, though.
Again, Andy Dalton sits like 6'2", 6'3". Let's see, Andy Dalton height. I can Google that. 6'2".
Okay. So
the Red Rifle.
So Jack Plummer is a taller guy. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to see what Jack can do.
Yeah, I concur. I'm intrigued. I'm interested. Again, I think Jack Plummer is competing for the practice squad QB1, but practice squad QB1 gets paid, man. You get paid. You still want a job. So, again, we're going to see what the depth and injury chart looks like. We don't know as of yet, or at least I haven't seen it if they did release it. Game at 7 o'clock tonight. Likely we'll get that sometime this early afternoon. We'll talk to Rashad Beard about his expectations. I will ask you the same, Carolina Panther fans. What are your expectations for this team this evening? And I will ask you the same question as I have asked Clemson fans, as I have asked South Carolina fans. What's your expectation for the season? Forget expectation, what is your definition of success? We did have one texter earlier today that said his expectation for success is 500 or better. Well, keeping in mind that you can't be 500 in the NFL's regular season anymore. You can either be 8-9 or 9-8, but let's say 8-9. Is 8-9 fair to place? Because they said, as for Bryce, it should be 500 or better. This goes back into the argument I have made for years that win-loss is not a quarterback statistic. It's just not. Win-loss being a quarterback statistic would be like me blaming Lonzo or crediting Lonzo and Lonzo alone for the ratings of the radio station. That's not how this works. Is he a massive part of it? Absolutely. Is he arguably the single most influential person on it? Maybe so. But to say that he should eat all of the blame or receive all of the credit for the ratings going to the moon for the fan upstate would be entirely unfair. Unfair to him to saddle him with all of the blame, and unfair to everybody else for giving him all of the credit. Is it a stat that you can connect to the quarterback? Yeah, for sure. Obviously. The most influential on that statistic is Lonzo, the quarterback of the fan upstate. But if we get our ratings book next month and the ratings suck, they won't. They never do. But if we get our ratings book next week and the ratings have fallen off, is it right for the boss man to call Zoe down and go, hey, dude, this is all your fault and I expect you to fix it? No. Could he go, I expect you to perform better? Also, no, because Lonzo can't perform better. He performs at peak efficiency. But he can only work with the tools that he is given to utilize. However, if the ratings book comes out next month and our ratings are through the roof and we are the number one sports talk station in all of America, is it fair for the boss man to call everybody else down there and go, congrats to you all for working with Lonzo. Look what he accomplished. No, that's not fair either, because he might be the most influential, but he's not the only one that had a direct result on those numbers. So just like I wouldn't expect him to accept being saddled with the blame if the station tanks, because of his grace and humility, which he has in buckets, I would also expect him to say, I appreciate the accolades, boss, but I can't take all of the credit for myself. I'm not the only one who's a part of this. That is the definition of too much blame and too much credit being placed on quarterbacks for the results of a team.
I've described my entire career, and I'm worried I'm getting a text because you keep saying that if we tank, it's just like, don't do that. Stop it.
I said if we tank or if we go to the moon, which we very well could and might and probably have and should.
Dude, we just won an award last week, okay? I mean, give us a little grace.
We just won our
I know.
third award last week. If anybody downstairs is listening and would like to come up and pat us on the back, we
As
accept.
we continue to mirror the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Like, who else, right? Who else? You know what it is, Zoe? It's that people just keep disrespecting us.
They did the 1 year when we weren't nominated. And then look what happened, 2 in a row.
And I'm sick
of
it.
Just like the Kansas City Chiefs, two in a row.
And I'm sick of it at this point. That's why we keep going and getting moss, man. Getting moss. All right. So asked earlier, what is the definition of success for the Carolina Panthers this year? Next text came in and said, Rob, my definition of success this season is, in all caps, more than 2 wins. which is what all caps means.
Well, 3 is more than 2. I mean, you at least want to double the wins.
I would say yes. I would say that is abundantly fair for sure.
Unless, of course, you're really unhappy with your present quarterback and you just decided, you know what? Let's just dump the whole season. Wonder if anyone's ever done that for an entire season. I get it near the end of the year, whether I agree with it or not, tanking. But have you ever, has any team ever tanked an entire season?
I can't think anybody would, because you never know what's going to happen, right? You never know what's going to go down. So I don't think anybody tanks a whole season. I would say there's a lot of teams that should tank. I am, and just so we're clear, I am pro-tank. I am very pro-tank.
All right, Shane on stream points out the Lions went 0-16. Yeah, but they were trying.
Yeah, they were trying.
They were trying to win.
As a matter of fact, the year that happened, my producer at the time, a cat by the name of Bill Sutterfield, a.k.a. Dollar Bill, was his honor nickname. I got a history of great nicknames for producers. My then producer, Bill Sutterfield, a.k.a. Dollar Bill, y'all, was a Lions guy, and I had to stop him from quitting sports talk radio a lot of times. I had to stop him from quitting sports talk radio like a lot of times. I don't think they tanked. I just think they sucked. And that is the problem that a lot of teams are going to have. Again, I saw yesterday an article from a sports talk outfit that is comprised predominantly, if not entirely, of hot take artists, so I shan't name nor credit them for it. An article that was entitled, "No, seriously this time, the Carolina Panthers will win the division." No, they shan't. Okay? Do I think they'll be better? Yes. Do I think that there is a chance, and let me bold and italicize and underline and increase font size on chance, that around week 10, they're in the hunt for the division? Yes. But do not be fooled, my dear friends. They shan't be in the hunt for the division because they've suddenly figured it out. They shall be in the hunt for the division because everybody else in the division also stinks. Okay? I think Atlanta's going to be better. I cannot tell you how much I believe that Desmond Ridder held that team back last year. I think the Falcons behind Kirky are going to be fine. I think the Buccaneers, we talked about this yesterday. I think the Buccaneers take a step backwards this year. What does step backwards mean? 7-10? 6-11? Possibly. Will we say their over-under win total was 8.5? And we both went under. I think they take a step back. 9.5? 7.5?
No, I did. I think I went over.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I took the under.
I was like one win more than you.
And I think the New Orleans Saints are going to be trash this year. I don't like it. I don't want them to be. I just think that they are going to be.
Are you still excited for the season, though?
Define excited.
I'm because football's back.
I mean, yeah.
So you're just excited for football overall, but when it comes to your team, you're just like, meh.
I am going to ride until we fall down. Until we slam our own genitalia in the door, as we inevitably will, Dennis Allen. I will ride. You will see me week 1 on Sunday at a watering hole somewhere, adorned in black and gold. And then at some point, probably, I don't know, around halftime of week 1, you will see me revert back to New Orleans Saints fan of, like, well, that's not true. We got Carolina in week 1. It might be week 2 when we go to Dallas and get obliterated by Dak that I go, all right, that's enough of that. That's enough. Had all the fun I can possibly have. I heard, who was it? Honey Badger yesterday said, the league's on notice because we're angry this year. I'm like, yeah, so was my grandpa, but that didn't mean he could beat me in a fight.
That's what a honey badger should say, though.
Yeah. Like, all right, bud, cool. I've seen a lot of dudes get angry in a bar and then get their ass whooped. Being angry doesn't do anything. Are you good? And the answer is no. The answer is just, it's just unequivocally no. So, I don't know. We'll see. What is your definition of success this year, Carolina Panther fans? We will ask that question of Rashad Beard coming up at 8:40 when the host of the Panther Nation podcast joins the show to talk preseason game numero uno this evening. Panthers on the road at Gillette Stadium taking on the New England Patriots. Football is here. So is Lonzo. And me. I'm Rob Brown. It's the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
QC.
All right, guys. One more live when we're back. Stay right there, please, and thank you.
Yeah, my dude, that's like in the middle of two. Yes, look at this. Can he do it?
Tonight, chance for storms, a low 72.
I don't know. Still going to have to come out one more time at least.
Sunday, sunny 88. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Vucci's on the fan.
Oh, no, you
upstate.
didn't lie.
Currently, it's 79.
Your mirrors aren't.
At Luis
And he said,
Ortiz.
yep, that's good enough for me.
Like, I feel like if you drive a car that big, actually kind of nailed that.
He did. The mirror, I think, is over, but I'm looking at a different angle.
I mean, it's
looks
on
like
it, but
that thing is so long. He's got it over the sidewalk and still looks like a couple feet beyond the lines because it's so long. But he's checking because, unless he's got somebody in the back, he's going to unload. I don't even know what that is. No, seriously. I mean, what is it? Well, he's unhappy. He's not satisfied with what he did.
That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working.
Oh, he's going back further. Okay.
And his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop
Good
by.
move because when that
For the ones
Jones that chicken salad chick crowd hits,
they don't play either.
they don't. He's still not happy. He's out checking it again. Was he trying to go up against the building? Dude, you're good. I mean, shut her down.
Shut her down.
Oh, he's back in. Let's see what he's doing. You seen the reflection of the red lights on the building? What the heck is he? Okay, this is weird. He's checking again. This guy really cares.
I mean, I respect that he cares,
I don't know. I'm starting to think there's a heist or something going on,
They're casing the joint.
like a bunch of people are going to come out the back. Hope it's a clown heist. That would be fun to watch. Could fit a lot of clowns in there.
At least they stocked up on Clorox disinfecting wipes. Because you're not messing up my kitchen counters like last time.
I know my brain is weird. I don't care.
Oh, we all listen to the show.
Yeah, no one else has looked and went, man, you could fit a lot of clowns in there. All right, maybe there's someone out there. Like maybe a clown thought that. He's still not happy. He got out again. Although it looks like he took headphones off. Maybe he's good now. Oh, yeah, he shut her down. We're good. No way he walks behind that.
Oh, he's going to go check it out.
Yeah, they're cutting a hole in the side of the building. That's what they're doing. Look, he's just,
Casing the joint.
They want therapy. They're just getting in there. Oh, no, he's looking at the mirrors now. He's going to be like, hold on. All right. Vehicle is secured. What is that symbol? Is that a Cadillac?
It's a Mercedes.
Is it? I knew it was something expensive. I think it has a full kitchen in it.
Steven, the answer to that is yes.
Maybe it's a rolling office.
No, that's a get a lot of people around comfortably, man.
New Life next break.
All right, a couple of things that we are keeping an eye on in tonight's game. And I am very intrigued in seeing all of this play out. Our buddy Shane, P1 Shane, captain in the Armada, Shane says, are you dying? A little bit. A little bit. I mean, we're all dying. That's a thing even Lonzo likes to say. But yeah, Shane, a little bit. Thanks for noticing. I think.
Did you actually think he could blow his nose quietly? I mean, you can't do anything else quietly.
The problem isn't that I've had to do it. It's that it hasn't stopped since Monday.
Put corks up in there and do the show, dude.
Then I'd be doing Green Day Sports Talk Radio.
Oh, that's amazing.
Don't want to be a Panther quarterback.
All right, that's enough of that. God, I'm an idiot, dude. I'm dumb. All right.
Good shot. That made a promo. I'm just saying that was some quality stuff.
You better
right
stick
there.
the "I'm an idiot" on the end so everybody knows that I'm self-aware. Okay.
Well, I already know what music to put behind it and everything.
I pretty much lined
the
the whole thing up for you. Now it's just time for you to go be the Wizard of Wave, man. All right. A couple of things I'm keeping an eye on this evening. One of them, as Lonzo was pointed out multiple times, accurately and succinctly, is what the kickoff is going to look like. I am not just saying what the kickoff should look like, but whomst should be included in that plan. Tell you who I'm interested to see, A, if they get the opportunity, and B, if they get the opportunity, what they do with it. Raheem Blackshear. Does Raheem not kind of feel like a guy you want to see genuinely get some reps returning kickoffs? Very much a yes for me. Very much a yes for me because how he is utilized within the offense. Raheem Blackshear is a dude that you can hand the ball off to tackle, and he's going to run like a little ping pong ball up in there. But he's so utilitarian in the way that he runs, right? Like, you can spring him off the edge, you can flip him a little screen, and he's comfortable with it. In fact, that I think is the reason that he got brought to Carolina is his efficiency as a pass catcher and as an off-tackle runner. Is that not kind of what I think we're looking for in a kickoff return guy this year? Like a guy that you can trust to catch the ball, because remember, whether it's caught or not, once the ball is touched by the kick returner, that's when the kickoff return technically starts. So I'm kind of trusting that guy back there as a guy who can catch the ball, but also I feel like a runner with great field awareness becomes important. On a kickoff return, because the blocks are being set up or already in effect by the time that the returner has received the kick and looks upfield, I think in the new kickoff, you're going to see a lot more guys that are watching those blocks be established after they're already making their full acceleration up the field. And if that is the case, I kind of want a running back with good vision back there. Or a wide receiver with great vision. A guy like Debo becomes infinitely more valuable to your team now. But I think Raheem Blackshear is a guy that I could throw back there and see what happens. And on top of that, this is kind of interesting because keep in mind, you drafted a running back in Jonathan Brooks. Now, Jonathan Brooks is obviously not available for this or any other preseason game. In fact, the belief is right now, at earliest, Jonathan Brooks will likely be available for opening day if you're lucky. I spoke with somebody a couple of days ago that told me that they expect John Brooks, and we'll talk to Rashad about this coming up in the next segment, that told me they expect John Brooks to be available no earlier than week 3 of the regular season. And that is at earliest, would be week 3 of the regular season. Because of the depth at running back, you were talking about Miles Sanders. You were talking about Chuba Hubbard. You were talking about Jonathan Brooks. And you are also talking about Raheem Blackshear and undrafted veteran running back Mike Boone, Jaden Sheridan, and Dylan Johnson, also on this roster at running back. I think that, especially tonight, especially in game 1, week 1 of the preseason, I think running back might be the position that I am keeping my closest eye on tonight. Because I listen, there's going to be cuts to this roster tomorrow. There's going to be a cut made mentally tonight But there's going to be a cut announced tomorrow. And I think running back is one of the first spots that happens. Another guy I'm interested in seeing if he gets the nod is the new tight end, Ja'Tavion Sanders. Sanders, a rookie, brought up, will get a fair share of snaps because Tommy Tremble and Ian Thomas are both sidelined. Those are TE1 and TE2. This is going to open the door for Ja'Tavion Sanders. JT Sanders is a guy that I know a lot of Carolina fans, and I know Rashad Beard has mentioned him by name at least once. JT Sanders is a guy that a lot of Panthers fans believe needs to do what Carolina was hoping Hayden Hurst was going to do last year. That is, become BY's BFF in situations where tight ends become very valuable. Red zone, short yardage, when defenses start to expand, if the run game's not working, all the spots that tight ends start to become very valuable, that's where this guy has excelled at this point. There are some other names. Felipe Franks is going to be out there. Jacob Hollister just got picked up not too long ago. He's a guy with some veteran experience. I don't know which of them is going to stand out tonight, but somebody's got to. Somebody's got to. Wide receivers. Interested to see the wide receiver group tonight. Interested to see what dogs will and won't make A, an appearance, and B, an extended appearance. I don't think as important as the new DJ is going to be to this team this year, I don't suspect you're going to get a lot of Deontay Johnson on the field tonight. I think you've got a proven veteran wide receiver. I don't think game number one of the preseason is a spot that you overexert them. Same for Adam Thielen. I think you might get a series or two out of these cats, let them get some reps, some rhythm down the sideline. The other thing I don't want to do, and this is why wide receivers are very interesting in preseason game one like tonight, I don't want to throw off the timing and the rhythm that these guys would have built so far with Bryce Young by throwing him out there with Jack Plummer. Noticeably not Jake Plummer. I don't want, if they have developed a rhythm and a timing, BY and his new BFFs, I don't want that to be thrown off because Jack Plummer has a different cadence and a different speed and a different release that they've got to time out better. Let the guys you know are going to be wide receiver one, wide receiver two. Let those guys stay with the chemistry they've built with QB1 so far. What that does do is open the door for other guys. Xavier Legette, not going tonight. Obviously, he's dealing with that foot injury. You know who that opens the door for? That opens the door for TMJ. That opens the door for Terrace Marshall Jr. to potentially be a guy who gets some reps that matter. This is, remember, and Dave Canales himself said this.
Still surprised he's on the team, by the way. Anytime his name is mentioned, it's like, oh, is he still there?
If he doesn't have a good preseason, he won't be. You know who said that? Dave Canales said that. So if he doesn't have a good, actually, Anish Shroff said that to us on this station a couple of days ago. If he doesn't have a good preseason, he won't be on week one. That starts tonight. When we come back, Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast joins us. We'll talk to him about tonight's preseason matchup and what he expects to see, who he expects to see break out. We'll do that next on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate.
Your life.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back with Rashad. Stay right there for me. Rashad, what's up, you handsome devil?
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Good, bud. How you been? Ain't talked to you in a damn month.
No, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. I'm good. Just a little under the weather, but I'm good. Everything's okay. I'm on the tail end of it, so we're good.
I feel that. I feel that. You gotta tell them folks at work to stop taking you off the show, man.
Yeah, nah, it's not work, man. It's been the summer, kids, travel, all this stuff, man. So not just work.
How's the wind there?
Yeah, it's picking up, man. It's woke me up this morning, so I've been up really, really early, and it's just constant rain, constant rain. So
yeah, we haven't got rain yet, but we are getting the winds. So
yeah, it's everything. Wind, rain, hitting heavy here.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob, the great one, Alonzo with you. And it is Thursday, not just any old Thursday. It's game day Thursday. The Carolina Panthers tonight, preseason game numero uno. They are on the road at Gillette Stadium to take on the Bill Belichick-less New England Patriots. Gerard Mayo getting his first crack with the headset on this evening. The same is true for the man in charge of the Carolina Panthers. That is Dave Canales getting his head coaching debut this evening. To talk about expectations for that game, we are finally, for the first time in years, joined by the host of the Panther Nation podcast. You can follow them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, head over to their YouTube page, Panther Nation Podcast. Rashad Beard back in the building. Been a minute, fella. What's happening?
What's going on, guys? First of all, I do want to apologize for my absence. There's been a lot going on over the summer, so I do apologize for those folks that do anticipate this part of the show. So I apologize.
I mean, me. It's just me.
What you talking? Those folks, like everyone is. I'm always excited about Thursday.
I don't know.
It's true. Breaking out the Steve Smith jersey. I got a chance to interview Steve on this station last Thursday. We broadcasted live from Panther Fan Camp down at Clemson. Got to talk a little bit to Steve Smith about his expectations. We're not going to get to see Xavier Legette tonight, but we are going to talk about him very briefly, obviously, as we're here in the upstate, just down the road from Columbia, South Carolina, where his Gamecocks play. Your thoughts? Because one of the things that Steve Smith told me, Rashad, last week was the expectations might be getting placed too high on this young man out of the gate. He pointed out the fact that there's a lot of people who think that the height and the physicality that he played with at the college level are just going to immediately translate to the NFL. That's not how it works, that it was going to take some time for him to learn the intricacies of the game. That actually kind of perked my ears a little bit because that happened at South Carolina too. Like, he was a late bloomer. It really wasn't until his last year that he kind of found his stride a little bit. Do you think Steve's right? Like, are we setting the expectations? Is the excitement about a first-round draft pick guy in Xavier Legette, are Panthers fans maybe setting the bar a little too high for this cat early?
I hope they would listen to PNP, because we kind of told you this was going to be the case. We said that it's going to be a slow burn for Legette. There are several guys in front of him, including Deontay Johnson, who's going to be the true wide receiver one, going to consume a lot of targets, a lot of yards. He's got the tried and true veteran Adam Thielen. Jonathan Mingo is having a great camp as well. So there's just not enough footballs to go around for Xavier Legette. And it does not help that he's, a little banged up. He's nursing that foot injury, which is why we're not going to see him tonight. Again, we knew this was going to happen with Legette. I kind of called this on the entire class that this is going to be a wait and see. It's going to be a slow burn for this class. And it's okay. The roster has been built as such to where we don't need to rely on our young guys. And that's okay. Let's get these guys developed and ensure they enter the game properly when they're ready. And he's going to have some packages drawn up for him. I've seen it in training camp. He's got had some reverse plays. They're gonna manufacture touches for Legette to touch the football. However, it won't be every down. You're not going to see him touch the football a lot just because there's not enough footballs to go around. So let's take your time here. The same thing can be said for Jonathan Mingo last year. We don't need these guys to come out there and light it up. Let's just let them slowly develop. So again, if you haven't been listening, if you've been listening to PNP, you wouldn't be surprised with this at all.
So that is, I think, a philosophy you don't just put on XL. I think you put that on that team, right? I asked our listeners earlier. I'm going to ask you the same thing in a minute, but I'll give you a second to think about it. I think it is important. I did this to Clemson. I did it to the Gamecocks. I'm doing it to the Panthers. I think it's important for people to define success for the year so that at the end of the year, we can objectively say they did or did not meet what I consider success. But while I do that, I am also urging fans of Carolina to use a little restraint when they do that, to use a little bit of patience, because I think the expectation is, well, Dave went to Geno, made him comeback player of the year. He went down to Tampa, got Baker a $100 million contract. Obviously, we're next in line. Obviously, BY is going to come out as a Pro Bowler. Obviously, I saw a news article from a respected sports outlet the other day that said, hear us out, Carolina will win the division this year. And I'm like, man, I think there's a lot of people, and hey, you're sports fans, we know how this works, that are really trying to mash the accelerator on what you and I have both said in agreement. This is a minimum, like a 2-year kind of expectation for us. I feel like you take everything you just said about XL, you put it on this football team, and you're still right.
1,000% agree. And if you've been to camp, you would agree with that too. I mean, it hasn't been perfect. Like we've seen some areas where, hey, this offensive line, while we did invest a lot of money to the offensive line, they need time to gel, right? They've got a big week coming up next week when the Jets come into town, and we'll see where we stand truly when we line up across from the Jets. That's a good team. Aaron Rodgers coming to town, all that good stuff. So we don't know. We won't know. We don't know what we have with the Carolina Panthers. And ultimately, what's the sad thing is, success is measured in wins and losses. So we could talk about Bryce's development and all that good stuff and the small wins, but ultimately, success is measured in wins and losses. So for me, if I'm gonna look at this season and call it success, I would say 7 to 8 wins to me is success. I consider that a big win for the Carolina Panthers, considering you're coming off 2 wins last season and you coming off 5-win season the year prior. 7 to 8 wins is more than enough and it should appease Carolina Panthers fans.
Talking to Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, as we do every Thursday at 8:40 here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Talk a little bit about tonight, preseason game number 1 on the road at the Patriots. Dave Canales has told us no Bryce Young in this competition. My working theory, Rashad, I want to make sure everything else is clicking before I throw him out there. I want to make sure the offensive line that we invested in is on the same page. I want to make sure the run game, which I think you utilize to protect Bryce Young, is clicking. I want to make sure everything's good before I throw him back out to the Wolves, because I think if he comes out and gets smoked early, you do start to run the risk of dinging up the confidence if it didn't happen already last year. That's my theory behind why you're not going to see number 9 tonight.
Yeah, I see all sides of this, bro. That's the biggest topic right now going on at Panther Nation is, should Bryce Young be playing? Should he not be playing? It's interesting. I've heard all sides of it. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they're playing their guys for an entire quarter, right? They're the defending Super Bowl champs. People talk about, oh, it's just preseason and you don't have to worry about it. All reps matter, right? And however, I do agree that everything needs to be right for Bryce. You cannot mess his confidence up too early. And the way that offensive line, I think Damian Lewis is a little dinged up. So, you got one of your starting guards not playing. You're probably resting those guys so that they can be ready to go up against the Jets next week. So I see the positives in not playing Bryce Young while things aren't clicking on all cylinders, because I've been at the practices and I've seen that offense. I've seen Jadeveon Clowney destroy our offensive line. I've seen our backups even get some. And again, I know that not our offensive line hasn't been fully complete at every practice. So I don't want to sit up here and say that our number 1 offensive line is getting destroyed every practice, because that's not the case. Moulton has been out several practices. Lewis has been out several practices. Robert Hunt's taking vet days. Corbett's taking vet days as well. So these guys are taking some time off. But what I'm saying is that I agree with what you're saying, that everything needs to be perfect in order for Bryce to get out there. And if it's not, we don't want to mess his confidence up. However, I do want to see him play in preseason games, whether it's week 2 or week 3. I do need to see Bryce Young get out there and get some reps live. It has to happen, in my opinion.
Rashad Beer, Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Talk to me about the wide receiver core. We know no XL this evening. I suspect if you get any Adam Thielen and Deontay, it's going to be very, very little up front. This, to me, feels like an opportunity for the guys we have talked about, the TMJs of the world, to go shine, to go earn a spot on the roster effectively. What do you expect? What do you want to see out of the wide receiver room tonight with Jack Plummer tossing the rock?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Jack, man. He's been developing a little bit. He's gotten better. I've been at these training camp practices. Some of my initial thoughts on him was that he was holding on to the football way too long. Things were progressing quicker than what he could process. And so he's getting better though. So we're going to see a lot of Jack Plummer tonight due to the injuries to Andy Dalton. And so it's going to be all him pretty much. I know we got signed Jake Luton, who is familiar with our game. He's been around since last year. So yeah, a lot of Jack Plummer. And I do want to see these receivers. At the end of the day, we still have a good battle with these wide receivers. The back end between, when you talk about Terrace Marshall, Jonathan Mingo, Smith Marset, Devin Tompkins, Jalen Coker, there's a lot of Mike Strong. There's a lot of opportunity for these guys to go out there and make a name for themselves. So absolutely, there's a battle there to be won. And I'm not saying that it's locked up. I don't know how many wide receivers we're going to keep. And I don't know what's going to happen with Terrace Marshall long term. I still think there's a topic of discussion between Dan Morgan and company on whether they're going to keep him or invest in some of this younger talent that we have. But it's an opportunity for these young guys for sure to take advantage of it. So we'll see. I'm excited for it.
A few more minutes with Rashad Beer to the Panther Nation podcast here on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. We were talking earlier in the show about like, what do you watch? I've said preseason football ain't for casuals. All right. It's not to watch to go, oh, yay, I hope we win. This is where those of us that like to coach from the couch get the opportunity to start making our dissections of the team. I'm interested to see what Jack Plummer does. Not necessarily because I think there's some big competition about who the practice squad QB1 is, Jack Plummer or Jake Luton, but more if Jack Plummer looks comfortable, looks confident, looks decisive in the pocket, then there's a little bit of confidence in me that maybe Dave Canales is that guy you brought him down to be, which is kind of a quarterback whisperer / head coach. Jack Plummer's performance to me tonight, Rashad, is not just about Jack Plummer and whether he can be the practice squad / QB3 behind Andy Dalton if you need him. It's about whether or not Dave Canales really can develop a quarterback, because if you can bring a guy along that suddenly looks like he might be quarterback 2 material, that kind of lends some credence to the theory about Dave Canales.
That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. But yeah, that's very applicable. So I think that it's very interesting. And I've watched Jack. He has developed over the past couple of days, taking on those more reps when Andy Dalton went down. So it is going to be very interesting to see how he performs. When you're watching this preseason game, for me, I think the defense is going to do their thing. Evero has done a great job with the defense. I do want to see if there's going to be some pass rush, where the extra pass rush is coming from. Clavon Chason, DJ Johnson, we got some guys that are banged up. So I would like to see what that defense is going to do. The secondary, we got some depth issues there. We want to see tested. So I want to see that. I want to see some of the different personnel groupings that we're going to show off from the offense, right? We talked about, and I've seen a lot of the different movement, the pre-snap movement, when it comes to training camp. I want to see some of that. I'm excited. I'm excited to see this offense because, again, it's all new to us. This is all new. The scheme, we're going to see a lot of that. We're going to get our first taste of the Dave Canales, Brad Isaac scheme. So this is going to be an exciting time. Again, I hope we can stay away from the vanilla word, because I know a lot of Panthers fans are tarnished by that vanilla word. But hopefully we get some Neapolitan ice cream flavored offense. Something that we can get happy about. You know what I mean?
I love it. All right, real quick, last one, then we'll let you go. Rashad, talk to me about the running backs tonight. We talked about them a couple of segments ago. Raheem Blackshear is kind of the guy I'm looking at, right? I know there's going to be a bit of a battle between Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. You got all the money wrapped up in him, but Chuba's the guy that you kind of started to rely on a little bit late last year. But Raheem Blackshear is the interesting one to me, because you got some guys lower on the depth chart, cost you a little bit less money to keep around. Raheem, I think, is potentially a kickoff return threat as well as a nice change of pace back. Gives you kind of a receiving threat if Sanders doesn't really break into that role, etc. What do you want to see out of the backfield? Because Zoe and I agree on very little about the Panthers right now, but one of the things we do is the run game identity has to be established to take care of BY. What are your thoughts on the 3 backs and what you want to see from the rest of the guys on the depth chart?
Yeah, for sure. I think Chuba Hubbard is gonna. I mean, his season is gonna be great. I think he's coming off of a great season last year. Chuba's gonna be the guy. I think Miles Sanders also is playing with a chip on his shoulder. I've seen him come out at camp. He's been yapping at the media. I think he feels a little bit disrespected. He did lose his job, but I do think he's going to fight back, and I think he's going to get some of that rotation. Blackshear, I think, shouldn't surprise anybody. He's been playing very well, especially in the return game. He's shown that in training camp as well. I do think today you're going to see a lot of Mike Boone. Mike Boone is getting a ton of reps at camp. You're going to see a lot of Jaden Sheridan, who is looking great at camp. One of the smaller school guys, got a really shifty, looks really good at camp as well. Probably going to end up being the practice squad guy. But the run game, absolutely, I 1,000% agree. We're going to lean heavily on that run game, and I'm excited for it. Chuba's playing well, Miles Sanders, Blackshear, and then hopefully we'll get Jonathan Brooks down the road. But he's another guy that I told you guys it's going to take some time for him to get going, and it's likely going to be week 4 before we see him in action. And when he does come and play in the game, I think it will be limited. So it's going to be Jonathan Brooks in 2025 when you see that second round pick starting to pay off. And I told you guys about that.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast every Thursday here on the Rob Brown Show. Listen, we're not going to talk about it. I'm just going to say a name for you to take a note on. Jalen Coker. Watch my guy. All right, just watch my guy. Watch my guy.
It's my guy. Jalen Coker. Watch out for him.
Rashad knows ball. He knows ball.
Absolutely.
Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast.
I had Jalen Coker on my show. Very good interview. Check it out. He's gonna surprise some folks.
I agree. Find him on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, make sure you go subscribe to the pod on their YouTube page, Panther Nation Podcast. Rashad, my guy, good to have you back, brother. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Have fun, guys.
Rashad Beard here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Lonzo Reitzel here on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Up to the minute upstate traffic. The Cordell and Cordell Jam Cam shows there's about a 6-mile area where you'll chug along at less than 25 miles.
He is. So am I. It's all right, though. All we got to do is stay up real late because it's Panther game day. Ladies and gentlemen, pregame is right now. Game is at 7 p.m. tonight. What's that, 10 more hours to go until we have real live football on the TV? Yeah, now I know. It's reservist football, and I don't give a darn, a hoot, as my grandma might say. Because football is just football at this point. Just give me anything. Give me guys on the gridiron fighting for their lives right now, and I am tuned in. I shan't miss a moment, and we will, of course, as always, have our full breakdown of the game tomorrow. I will watch the game probably 3 times between here and tomorrow morning show. I will watch it once live. I will replay through some of the things that stand out to me tomorrow night, and I will have it on the TV in the Fortress of Nerditude tomorrow before we go on the air to rip through it one last time and give a full breakdown. Because as Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast and I discussed in the last segment, there's a lot to keep an eye on. We need to keep an eye on the running back core. I told you that. Rashad agreed. We got to keep an eye on some of the reservist wide receivers. There are going to be dudes who are going to get cut tonight. All right? Not technically speaking. But Dave Canales is going to walk back into the HC's office this evening with at least a couple of decisions that have already been made. And, we'll see if we can give it a run as to figuring out who that is before we start tomorrow morning's radio broadcast. I'm just glad we have TV. I'm just glad we have football on it, is it? I'm just glad that tonight at 6:59 and 59 seconds, the world stops existing outside of these 75 inches of plasma screen, HDMI, 4K, whatever my TV is, that are in the bro cave.
Plasma?
I don't know. I think it's, I don't know. What's the best one? That's the one I got. LED?
I'm guessing it's, do they still make plasma?
I don't know.
I'm not saying your TV's outdated because you just bought that thing, didn't you? The big one?
Yeah, like a year ago.
Yeah.
Not even a year ago. When did I become a Costco executive member? I think it was right at a year ago. That's when I got it. Let's go a year ago, I think is it. The executive membership paid off in one purchase, by the way. That TV is great. I mean, I went through last football season with it, so it's been at least a year. Really glad to have it back tonight, though. So, I want your thoughts. I want your expectations. What do you want to see? And again, I've asked the question already. What are your expectations, Carolina Panther fans? I have asked this of the Clemson Tigers. I have asked this of the South Carolina Gamecocks. I have asked this now of you Panther fans. Rashad said something that I expected to perk up the ears of the great one, Lonzo. Because Rashad, I think, was kind of halfway between Zoe and I. Rashad said, at the end of the day, results are measured in dubs and L's. Which, yeah. I mean, that is how results are measured. That's the ultimate result, is a dub and an L. The argument I made...
You're saying that he's on my side.
No.
Because that's a normal thing.
No, I think what he was also saying, though, is that if you are looking at this team and you are expecting, because he did say this, if you are looking at this team and you are expecting more dubs than L's this year, you're going to be mighty disappointed. He said, hey, look, this is, and I'm using his words here, a slow burn. This is a slow burn. That was my biggest fear. This is why I asked the expectations question, because I think a lot of people, as I mentioned earlier, when I last night was show prepping and saw an article entitled, Hear Us Out, Carolina will actually win the division this year. I said, Oh, no. That's going to be disappointing for these guys.
This is not a throwaway season. It's a build for next year. A slow build for next year.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly. This is what I would call a bridge year, a development year, a progression year. This is a year that if I am a fan, I am watching to, Lonzo, you said back in the first hour, at the end of the day, sports are what? Entertainment. Bingo. And just like any other medium, you choose to be entertained by things. You elect what entertains you. And I'll use movies as my example. Big comic book movie guys over here, right? Last week, when I sat down to watch Deadpool and Wolverine, or as I am affectionately referring to it as Deadpool and Friend, when I sat down to watch Deadpool and Friend, I expected to be entertained. You know what I expected to be entertained by? Lowbrow humor and bleep jokes. That's what I expect. I went in expecting lowbrow humor and bleep jokes. And what do we get? That plus some pretty spectacular cameos, including one that I was over the moon about. We'll talk about that tomorrow.
And a better story than what you expect there to be. Yes.
Oh, for sure. For sure. It was pleasantly surprising how they worked all these extra things into what turned out to be a fun, compelling story within the overall MCU, but that's not what I went in for. I expected to go in for jokes about male genitalia, French pole vaulting jokes, and Ryan Reynolds being adorable. That's what I expected to go in and see, and that's what I got. But there's a difference between when I sat down for that and had those expectations than, for instance, last year when I sat down to watch Oppenheimer. Had I turned on Oppenheimer and gotten French pole vaulting jokes, I would have gone, this is massively disappointing. The expectations were very not met here. There's a difference. I compare that and contrast that to, for instance, the difference between watching the Carolina Panthers and, let's say, I don't know, the Kansas City Chiefs. Lonzo, what's your expectations for your Kansas City Chiefs this year?
Three-peat, baby.
Three-peat, baby. For sure. And so, Lonzo, if your team this year says goes 9-8 and misses the playoffs in the AFC, what would your reaction to that be? Would you go, wow, spectacularly entertaining?
I don't want to speculate on that because what that says to me is someone got hurt.
Lonzo, regardless of the reasoning why, you slayer of hypotheticals, you. If your team went 9-8 and missed the playoffs, your reaction in this hypothetical world would be what?
Disappointing.
Yes, thank you. See how easy that was?
What, to read your script?
Just a spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down.
Radio's improv. You can keep your scripts. I can tell you what to do with them.
The answer is Lonzo would be, as expected, disappointed. What would the reaction be of the random Carolina Panther fan if the Panthers went 9-8 and just barely missed the NFC playoffs this year?
We're pretty excited.
A freaking party. Sound the club horn. They would be jacked about that because the expectations are different. And therefore, what you're watching for should be different. You should watch Panthers games expecting jokes, whereas the Panthers or the Chiefs are watching expecting Oppenheimer. Okay, I can go into either and come out just as entertained. In fact, I actually, for the record, I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. I'm a giant dork. That story about the entire Manhattan Project fascinates me. It fascinates me immensely. I'm a dork. Judge me.
I didn't watch it because Cillian Murphy kind of freaks me out.
He's a unique looking cat. Okay. I enjoyed Oppenheimer immensely. And despite the fact that I am as sophisticated and highbrow as they come, I enjoyed Deadpool more. Okay? I liked Oppenheimer a lot. It was very good, very compelling, very entertaining, very interesting. But I enjoyed Deadpool more because sometimes you appreciate a good joke.
Best movie of the year so far.
Hard to disagree with that. Genuinely hard to disagree with that. So, what I'm throwing out here is, if you're a Panther fan, as Rashad Beard tried to inform, instruct, enlighten in the last segment, if you're a Panther fan, I wouldn't suggest watching this year with high expectations. Don't expect to go in winning Best Picture this year. Don't expect Dave Canales to win Best Leading Actor this year. Go in expecting to be entertained. Go in expecting to say, that was better than I thought it was going to be. Whatever that is. Again, did I go in expecting Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman to put together a performance that I'm going to be telling my grandchildren about years down the road? No. Did they deliver that? Yeah. If my hypothetical kids were to have hypothetical grandkids that were into comic books in 50 years, when I'm 90 and drooling on myself, then maybe I'd go, oh, you like comic books? Let me tell you about a Canadian and an Australian that made a really funny movie. That would be like a fun conversation for us to have, hypothetically speaking.
Man, I hope you sound like that when you're 92.
Do you imagine the sports talk radio show that we would do?
Dude, I will not be alive then.
It's time for the college football 64-team playoffs. There's only one conference.
I would be well into my hundreds. I
Into my hundreds.
Yeah, I don't think that will be happening.
The point here is, did that movie turn out better than I could have hoped it would? Yeah, for sure. Am I putting it up for Best Picture? Yeah, probably not.
No, because people actually went to watch it.
That's fair. It's not unfair. It's not some stupid artsy-fartsy film. All right? But the point is, as Rashad said, this is a slow burn, dude, right? I asked him about Xavier Legette because I had that concern. Carolina Panther legend Steve Smith aired that concern to me when we interviewed him here on this show last Thursday. An interview, by the way, that you can find by going to thefanupstate.com. Right in the middle of the page is a button that says podcast. Click on that, drop it down, find The Rob Brown Show. Full segments, full hours, and highlights. That really hurt a lot. All available on the podcast section of The Rob Brown Show at thefanupstate.com, including last Thursday's interview with Denise Schroff, the voice of the Carolina Panthers, and Steve Smith, the Carolina Panther, in my opinion. Him or Luke Kuechly are the Carolina Panther, right? If you only got one to be face of the franchise, it's 89, right? Like Luke Kuechly, runner-up.
See, I would go with Luke first, but it just depends on if you're a defensive or offensive guy. It's like that.
It's like this or like that or like this. I go 89. Point here is he said the same thing. He said, you got to wait a minute. You're setting the bar too high. You're setting the expectations too high. Rob Brown. Well, not Rob Brown. I know ball. He wasn't saying it to me. He was saying in general. You're setting the expectations too high. And like I told Rashad Beard, I am concerned that fans are doing the same thing for the team at large. I am concerned that the fans are setting the expectations too high in year number one. If you were expecting 9-8, 10-7, a wild card berth, I think you're going to be sorely disappointed because I think this is a 2-year building pattern. Does that mean they can't be good this year? No. Does that mean they won't be good this year? No. Does it mean they won't be better? Of course not. I expect better. I grabbed over 4.5 wins on the futures market and feel real good about that. I'm still taking them right now at 5.5 wins and feeling good at it. I think 6 is the minimum. That is 300% more wins. I'd say that's better. What I'm saying is be real careful about how high you set the expectations. That's it. UNC Chris texts the show at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. He said, expectations for the Panthers. Let's go in. Yes, Rob Brown. Whatever your expectations are, lower them. I don't want to see you guys hurt again. But me, I know I'm ready to be hurt again. How dramatic. Appreciate that text, Chris. 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. 844-326-3663 is the number to the renewal by Anderson to the Carolinas fan phone. What are your expectations for this year? Panthers fans pregame number 1 tonight. The Rob Brown Show rolls on after this. It's the Fan Upstate.
3 friends.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. right, y'all, we're back. Thanks for being here. That is oh, that hurt to read a little bit, NFL kid. That hurt to read a little bit. Let's say we match. Let's say 2 and 3. Although I'll say this, I don't think you're not getting Aaron Rodgers next week. Aaron Rodgers is not going to play, maybe in the preseason at all. But if he does, it'll be minimal at best. That being said, if you are watching the preseason for wins and losses, you are watching the preseason wrong. That's it. These are not games you play for wins and losses. These are games you play to see where your roster and development are.
Still winning's okay too. I mean, if they win too on top of developing and all that kind of stuff, that's nice.
Put it this way. Dave from PNP, Rashad's co-host, Rody said, quote, when somebody tells me the preseason doesn't matter, I try to remind them that, yes, it absolutely matters. Correct. But not the preseason record. The 0-16 Lions, you will recall, went undefeated in the preseason that year. If I recall, didn't Brady's Super Bowl Bucks not win a preseason game? Weren't they 0-4?
I think so. I think Baltimore hadn't lost a preseason game in like years, and then they finally lost one. It's not a reflection on anything other than you're supposed to watch and see how well they're doing, but still winning's okay too. Hope Gerard Mayo comes out with like his sleeves ripped off and just
continues the hoodie tradition.
Yeah, why not? Welcome into the Fight Club, where even when we are forgotten, we still come in punching, and people forget that we're supposed to be here, but we're here.
I didn't forget. I just didn't hype it. That's my bad. All right.
That's all right. I mean,
my bad.
It's appointment listening. We get Rashad. We get wrestling. I think Joe said that earlier on Thursday. So what we get Rashad. We get wrestling. I don't know what else could make Thursday better.
The Braves not sucking.
I was gonna say free food, maybe. I
do like that.
There's some things.
Were there any leftovers the other day?
No, they brought in a lot though, and they were really good. But I knew it was already good anyway. If you guys have never had Zaxby's tacos, pretty good. They really are. They also brought in cheesecake bites. I think they were. Yeah, you couldn't have it. Yeah, they
probably
really
a good thing I left.
Yeah. They were with strawberry dipping sauce, which, was really good. All right. So SummerSlam happened last weekend. Probably one of the best SummerSlams in recent memory. Really, really good. And my question for you is, did this truly signify the beginning of Triple H's? I think more so than WrestleMania. WrestleMania was great, but I think this is more of a Triple H kind of thing. With all those championships changing, including Braun Breaker, Nia Jax, LA Knight, and Gunther, all won championship Saturday night.
Yeah.
All of them. Some people, I'm sure, are saying finally they gave LA Knight a championship. But over half of those guys, or let's see, Braun Breaker, LA Knight, and Gunther, all NXT people.
That is correct. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say the Triple H buildup has felt real to me for a while. And I say so because of two things. Number one, the ramification of long-term booking, which is something that I don't think existed for like a hot minute there. It was all short-term. It was, this rivalry starts here, we have the pay-per-view payoff, and then it's over. Whereas we're seeing these lasting ramifications that go on for weeks and months. Somebody pointed out the other day that if you really think about like the Rhea Ripley Liv Morgan story, all the things Liv did to Rhea are all things Rhea did to Liv in years gone by, right? Like you can go back a couple of years and it was payback for all of it. The
That's
Judgment
why
Line,
it's the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour.
Absolutely. The Judgment Day JD Finn thing. Here's the thing. JD and Finn aren't wrong. They went about it Big Lebowski style.
You're not wrong. You're just an...
But they're not wrong in how they feel about friend of the show, Damian Priest. I think it has been burning for a while. What I do think this was the explosion of the stick of dynamite that's been burning for a couple of years now.
All right. So also, I don't think we're going to fight about this, but I've been thinking about this today. NXT is the best minor league in all of sports.
Okay. You know what? I'm actually good with it. And I'm good with it because it is the only minor league, including baseball, and I'm a baseball guy. I get paid to talk about it every Saturday. It's the only minor league that I don't just go out of my way to watch every week. I retroactively watch it every week, right? Like if I miss it on a Wednesday night or Tuesday night or both, if I miss it, I'm going back to watch it the next day. I finished up this week's NXT last night at like 11:30 before I went to bed.
Say his name.
I have a hard time saying no.
Was that crowd not crazy
So
for
good.
him? Yeah.
And that start to the match, brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
More people need to do that.
When they say, see the stars of tomorrow today, it's really true in NXT. If you look at the makeup of both SmackDown and Raw right now, and let's face it, some of AEW, a lot of it started in NXT, and where those guys and girls have been developed, learn how to do things a certain way. And the next thing you know, at least now under Triple H, when they get to the main roster, they're able to bring their personas with them. They're able to expand on the foundation that they built and not be relabeled, renamed, and all that kind of stuff.
I think that, and NXT was good, not just for the wrestlers, because you're spot on. It was good for Triple H too, right? Like I think it kind of allowed him to develop the strategies that he's put together as far as that long-term booking, as far as that nuance in characters that, yeah, this person's a face, but let's not pretend they're perfect, or this person's a heel, but let's not pretend they have, they don't have good tendencies or good traits. This is why I've said in movies for years, the best villains are the ones who have a point, the ones who are right. Thanos had a point, went about it the wrong way. Execution was poor, but he's not wrong, right? And I think Triple H kind of started to figure that out with NXT guys, and he carried that up. So now the NXT guys that get called up, they've had that experience in the NXT system, which now fits onto the main roster as well.
All right, I have something to admit, and it's really weird, and I just now thought of this.
You believe in Joe Hendry?
Well, no, I mean, I do. And not only do I, but so does my granddaughter. I can't convince my wife to believe in Joe Hendry, but, I'm working on it. I feel sorry for Solo Sikoa. I do. I mean, we've all seen people who think they're the guy to take up the mantle when the other guy leaves, and they believe their own hype. They believe everything, and then they get up there and they get knocked down a major peg, and that's what Solo did. I mean, with the return of Roman Reigns.
You know how I feel about it? And I've wondered how to put it, and I think I just came to it. I feel the way I think that, and I'm not one, so those of you that are can correct me on this. You know how when you were a kid and you got in trouble and Pops snapped the belt and said, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you, or he sent you to timeout and he said, I feel like that's kind of how it is. Like, the guy screwed up. The guy deserves some discipline. The guy's got to be corrected for his behavior and attitude and all that. But on the flip side, you still you kind of feel bad for it because you got to learn what's wrong and be disciplined for it before you can fully grow up. But here's the reality, man. He usurped the throne of the tribal chief and, more importantly, consistently disrespected. My man put Paul Heyman through a table. That has to be accounted for. That has to be adjusted for correctly, and he got what was coming to him. Now, the question is, does he grow from that, or does he come out and go right back to, you got me when I was already weak, when I was mid-match, where Cody had already hit me with the crossroads 97 times. By the way, can we make finishers great again? We'll come back to that, I hope, at some point down the line. But you got me in a weak spot. You're still weak. You needed to jump me, blah, 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 blah. Like, whatever. Did he learn the lesson? And that is when wrestling's at its best.
All right. By the way, speculation here. Roman Reigns going to speak Friday night. The Bloodline beats him up.
I think what you're going to see, because I think the story works if and only if, and I think this is the focus of the story. The focus of the story is not Solo Sikoa in the Bloodline. The focus of the story is Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso making amends for their behavior when they were the Bloodline. I think it is because Roman by himself cannot beat the new Bloodline. And I don't know who's with him right now. Like Cody will probably be like, hey, thanks for it. But also, you wronged me a lot. We'll say we're even, but I don't owe you anything. So how does Roman make amends to Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, all these other, because I think we're going to kind of get a very similar as we did at WrestleMania, where you kind of need that like Avengers Assemble moment to get rid of the air quote tribal chief, right? I think you're going to need that moment in order for that moment to happen. This has got to be a Roman Reigns apology tour with a bunch of people that have no interest in being apologized to.
I don't think he does that. I don't think he apologizes. I think he stays who he is, and Jimmy comes around, and maybe there's I think another Fatu out there that's been signed. So maybe you start signing some other guys to go up against the Bloodline. Just a couple minutes left. We finally got to see Gunther was out there talking, and then I heard music I was not expecting. And I literally out loud went, oh, okay. All right. That works. Randy Orton versus Gunther in Germany. Looking forward to this. You know, I was expecting to hear Brock Lesnar's music. I was.
I don't think you get that in Germany. If this match is in America, I think you got a better shot at that. And I do think you will get that match at some point, which is why Randy Orton's losing this match. They're not having Gunther go over there and drop the title in Berlin. But, and Nine asked me this question from the Rise Guys the other day. He said, A, did you expect it? And B, if I gave you control, is there a better match you could have booked for that? And I could not come up with one because you can't. Initially, I was like, what about Dragunov? Those guys put on slappers in NXT, but you can't send Dragunov because he, as good as he's been, and I actually love his like completely reckless way of wrestling, he hasn't done anything that makes you feel like that is a contentious match. Randy Orton's a legend. And that line of, I'm glad you think you're a legend because I've made a career of killing them was a banger of a line. I don't think you could have come up with a better match in that spot than Randy Orton looking to become a 15-time, and in order to do it, he's got to take the belt off of Gunther in front of Gunther's people.
Finally, the last thing.
Sorry, friend of the show, Gunther.
Friend of the show, Gunther, who sat over there and said that, you know, his dream match is with Brock Lesnar. Joe Hendry, does it burn out or does it continue to grow?
I got to tell you, the dude, I went down a Joe Hendry rabbit hole on YouTube the other day of just all the parody songs and everything he's done over the years. It burns out if and only if they don't let him be that guy, right? If they go, you're too goofy, we need you to be goofy, but tone it down a little bit, then it will not work. You have to let this guy go full goofy. You need to let him come out and sing Creed's Higher, but can you please get fired again? Like, you got to let him go full tilt Joe Hendry because that's what we're all in for. And I will say, as H goes, he's pretty much let the guys be the guys and the gals be the gals, right? Like, who's toned it down in the past year? Nobody, really. And I think that's the only way that Joe Hendry thrives in WWE. They let him do that, we will all believe forever. Wrapping up the show next on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Joey B, I don't blame that on WWE, though. I blame that on Punk knowing that he's on a very short leash for the rest of his career, right? Like, no matter how well he does, He's on a very short leash the rest of his career.
You gotta believe there were some contract stipulations when he came back.
I think he's on a very short leash. And the only way for him to not tread on the wrong side of that razor's edge is to be more of a cartoony caricature version of himself than to be the guy that's been fired everywhere else he's ever been.
Have you seen the latest video from Ciampa and Gargano?
Yup. Phenomenal.
Ciampa could just learn to not say,
I was excited.
Wonder how many takes that takes.
Also, Truth just referring to people as random retired wrestlers is my favorite thing. Sorry. Friend of the show, R-Truth.
When he said Ricky Morton, I was like, I interviewed him before. That was an experience. It's about Ricky Morton.
Yeah.
Of course, interviewing R-Truth was definitely a lot of fun. Rashad left this thing on.
Cool. Welcome to the show, PMP Army.
We talk about more than just Panthers here.
Correct. Roadmaster, welcome in. Rage 1984. We did like 7 segments of Panthers today. We did more Panthers today than my boss will be comfortable with us having done.
Because it is game day.
Because it's an all-purpose show.
Yeah.
But we did talk a lot of Panthers. However, every Thursday at 9:20 after Rashad Beer, we do Fight Club. Your home for combat sports in the upstate of South Carolina. Ordinarily, we get some boxing or some MMA in here as well, but we did have one of the big 4 this past weekend, and you know what that means.
If you didn't like the wrestling, you really would have hated when we talked about the pole vaulter. If you talk about Ricky Morton, that was a whole thing. It was scary because I thought he was going to slap Chris Evans at some point just for no reason, because he got mad, he cried, he had all the emotions there in one interview, and at one point the stream camera broke, and one of my co-hosts looked at me. I was like, shook my head like, no, don't say anything. And he reached out and grabbed the camera, and it was in the camera, and it wasn't working at the time. It's like, yeah, don't tell him. Still wonder what Chris would have done if he slapped him.
Passed out?
Maybe.
Got KO'd?
Maybe.
Down for the 10 count? Wrapping up the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate for Thursday, by the way. For Thursday. Team USA taking on Serbia. Nikola Jokic and co. will be on the receiving end of today's contest. It has been an interesting past couple of weeks for Team USA basketball, mainly because of something that we have not talked about yet, and that is the number of injuries that this team has sustained. Now, we know about some of them. We know that Drew Holiday had to miss a game because of a busted wheel. We know Anthony Davis had a bit of an issue as he's bounced back and forth between.
Yeah, but that don't because he's always hurt.
I mean, he's always hurt. He's rarely injured, but somebody stepped on his foot in that game against South Sudan. Fortunately, didn't have to miss time. LeBron James had to get 4 stitches. My guy got busted up and open. By the way, those of you that are anti-LeBron guys, you got some lulls in that contest the other day because LeBron got checked out. And while he was going to the bench, because they are obviously in France and those games are taking place at the same time as many other Olympic events, Léon Marchand is a French swimmer who has just been racking up medals. Well, during the game the other night, they showed Léon Marchand, who was at the Team USA basketball game. They put him up on the big screen, and the French audience lost their damn minds because their Olympic hero was there. Braun thought the applause was for him. He's on the bench, like, waving to the crowd, and then he looks at the monitor to realize that they're showing Léon Marchand, and he's like, I was just stretching the old arm out, getting the old shoulder loose in case I got to go lift a few more J's. I'm good. Pretty funny moment.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Even as a Braun guy, pretty funny moment.
You need to be humbled every once in a while, no matter who you are.
Yeah, I'm good with it. Anyway, after the win over Brazil, it is very fortunate that Team USA men's basketball has avoided injuries because it's a physical game. FIBA basketball, Olympic basketball, is dramatically more physical than NBA basketball. It's a different set of rules. There's no defensive 3 seconds, meaning that guys can just absolutely get after it in the paint. The rules on goaltending are much more relaxed. You can go get the ball off the rim, meaning that you've got to fight for rebounds earlier and longer than you do in NBA basketball. The closeout rules are much more old school than they are at the NBA. You can close out hand check a lot more physically in FIBA basketball than in the NBA. So it's just a more physical game. It is one of the few spots that Team USA is at a disadvantage, despite the fact that, especially this year, they have, and I mean this, the deepest and most talented roster of basketball players ever assembled anywhere at any point on the face of planet Earth. This team would wreck the 92 Dream Team. And y'all, I'm a Larry Bird guy at heart. I'm a Magic guy at heart. I'm 39, so obviously I grew up with Mike. But this team would wreck the 92 Dream Team.
No.
Wreck them.
No.
I'd set that line at like minus 17 and a half.
No.
Wreck them.
No, they would not. It's come on, dude.
Your argument is what? You're asking an old and almost retired Larry Bird, an old and almost retired Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas not on the team. Like, the heart of that team was Mike. And oh, by the way, that's a Michael Jordan before you hit me with he wanted to win more than anything. The only reason Mike joined that team, and this is a true story verified by guys on the team, the only reason Mike joined that team was so that he could travel to play golf. In fact, he said, I will only join this team if I am allowed to golf when we are not playing. That's why he played so much golf.
I think there's because I'm going to do that thing where they're used to a better or more physicality. And because of that, I think they would beat up this team a lot more. And like, wouldn't even have to shut Steph down because he ain't doing anything. AD, you go against him a little bit and he's going to get hurt. The only people you really have to worry about on this team against the Dream Team would be Kevin Durant and LeBron James. That's it. Everybody else would get shut down. And the guys who aren't shut down, they would be in so much awe that they're playing the greatest of all time.
You're doing that thing where this is what I would do, therefore this is what everybody would do.
That's what you do. That's not. That's
I don't think so.
I mean, you do that projecting thing. It's not working.
No. I'm telling you, this team's just better. But put all that aside. What I am going to say about this squad is that whether you like the players as individuals or not, are you not, just forget the names, are you not pretty damn proud about how this team is playing at the
absolutely.
Olympics?
You just brought up them against the Dream Team. I don't know why. I mean, as far as that goes, we expect to win the gold in this, and we should do it going away pretty easily. The fact they struggled a little bit early was concerning, but LeBron got them in shape and was like, nah, we ain't doing that. And we'll see if this game is a little more competitive today, because they played them before and it wasn't. I mean, it started off kind of bad for the U.S. They're down. I think it was like 12-2 at the beginning of the game, and they had to pull it together. And it took getting Kevin Durant off the bench to get a spark. And hopefully they're better prepared because
Yeah, it was also game 1 though.
Yeah, I agree, but they've been playing friendlies in other games, so it's not like it's their very first game together. And I know Steph, we got to build chemistry, and I was just like, shut up, Steph, because you ain't doing anything but talking. I'm a little bit. I don't think they're going to lose, but I think it's going to be a little more competitive than the last game was.
James said the finger poke of doom would put 80 out for 2 weeks. Good joke. Good joke. Roadmaster said Falls Dream Team would wax this team. No, they would not.
They would.
Joey B said only because Bird and Magic were past their prime in 92. Yo, a solid chunk of that team was past their prime in 92. That's the point. That's the point.
Charles Barkley would beat them all up.
Charles, the round out of rebound would not beat up Joel Embiid. Just would not. And I don't even like Joel Embiid, so that we're clear.
Well, he would out cheap shot him.
No, that was Patrick Ewing's job. God, I hated Patrick Ewing so much. I hated Patrick Ewing. Even as a kid, I was like, oh, screw this guy. Hate this guy. This guy's a bum, dude. Anyway.
I think this is the first time ever that in a while that Joe's actually going against you. It's refreshing.
I told you. Not all my guys are my guys all the time. Robinson and Ewing go feast under FIBA rules. Pippen guards LeBron better than almost anyone due to his length and athleticism. Jordan is Jordan. Malone bullies Durant. Jordan wasn't locked in those Olympics. He was just there for the golf.
Yeah.
Played good basketball.
But he would have been locked in if he had the kind of competition that he would if he was playing this team.
Also, Malone, I just played Durant on the outside. How the hell is Malone guarding Durant on the perimeter? He's not. Are you kidding me?
Did you see how built he was? I mean, he even wrestled. He will take him out.
He
easy.
ain't guarding him on the 3-point line. And I'm not sending Durant to the paint. What are we talking about here? Y'all are lost. Me and Joey B are going to end up getting beers this weekend. That's what's about to happen. We're about to come back in Monday, bloody and bruised, and both thinking we're still right.
Except for you will have lost again when it comes to
again. I ain't lost yet. I believe in Rob Brown. All right. So after a relatively easy win over Brazil, the question mark is, did Serbia lull the Americans to sleep? Because again, early in game 1, it took a little bit of a wake-up call, and it did take, you are correct, it took Kevin Durant playing hero ball, would go 8 for 8 to start the game to get the Americans out of what looked like a sense of complacency.
They
and
also
here's
have the
thing.
best player in the world on their team.
They do.
Saying.
The Americans, and this I think is fair, and Steve Kerr said this, and I agree with him. You beat them twice now in the past 3 weeks. You beat them twice because you beat them in game 1. You also beat them in the warm-up tour, remember. But you beat them in the warm-up tour, no Bogdanovich. In fact, all they had from their NBA guys was Nikola Jokic, the best basketball player on planet Earth. And Nikola Jokic in the third and fourth quarter started to heat back up. And that's my question is, if Jokic comes out with that in minute number 1, is this team in trouble? I am going Team USA today, Lonzo, by 7.
I'm going to go by 2. I think it's going to be a lot closer than all that.
And now the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
All right, time to ask Rob Brown what is Xing, and he will tell us all without looking because he's got those skills of just knowing. The first thing that's Xing is Jack Perry.
So I did not watch EW last night yet. I'll be watching it later on today, but I was told that Jack Perry was interrupted during a promo. I do not know by whomst or for what.
South of the border, man. Taco Bell. It was a Taco Bell commercial.
Just cut him off
in the middle
for a
of his
commercial?
video packet.
Seriously?
Yes.
Incredible.
It was Taco Bell.
Incredible.
I mean, if he's going to be interrupted by a commercial, I think Taco Bell.
I mean, was it like an accident? Somebody slipped and fell on the button and started rolling the package, and they're like, "Oh, we got to go with this now." Or
guaranteed, it was BOE, board operator error for sure.
But
yeah,
but you write that into the script now, right? Like whoever you got him going up against next, you show a camera of them next week pushing that button and laughing hysterically.
No, it's him. He shows up at a Taco Bell and wrecks the place. That's what he's got to do. And
I
then
gotta
suddenly,
watch AEW right after work now today.
Then suddenly you get a sponsor from that. I mean, that would work out well.
Say his name and he appears. Taco Bell Chihuahua.
That Chihuahua's been dead for a long time. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Jack and Diane.
Little ditty about Jack and Diane, two American kids growing up in the heartland. Jackie gonna be a football star. Came out today, 4 years ago.
All right, from what I can tell, because it was the thing that showed up the most, people are still talking about the fact that it is talking about a sexual act. About the chili dogs.
No, that's Summer of '69.
No.
How is that? What?
Sucking on chili dogs.
Outside the Tasty Freeze,
Yes.
which is a place you get chili. Listen,
Okay.
I'm all for putting unnecessary innuendo where it goes. Well done, French pole vaulter. That ain't one. Yeah, you want a sexual innuendo song. Summer of '69 is about summer of '69.
Yeah,
Nice.
We know.
That's the one we make jokes about people.
But it's like everywhere there, and it's like every other post is about that.
Diane sitting on Jackie's lap. He got his hands between her knee. Oh.
Something about dribble off those Bobby Brooks or whatever. Let me do what I please. I mean, there's a lot of there's So anyway, that seems to be why that is Xing.
Son of a biscuit.
And finally, the last thing that's Xing.
Y'all need to go outside, touch grass.
That's what they were doing outside the Tasty Freeze, apparently. So the last thing that's Xing is Taylor Swift.
So this one is actually unfortunately serious. Taylor Swift is trending because she had some shows that were scheduled, I believe, in Vienna or was it Australia? It's either Austria or Australia. Neither I nor R-Truth knows which one. And she had to cancel them because there was a terrorist threat against her concert.
Apparently ISIS, from what they're saying.
I will say, as much as some of y'all love to make the T-Swizzle jokes, this is sad. I hate it dramatically, and I do sincerely feel for the people who blew entire paychecks to fly to the other side of the planet to watch their favorite artist play and now will not get the opportunity to do so. That is very sad. Hey, breaking news, not a joke. The Chicago White Sox just announced that they have fired their manager. He lost 21-1-1, and they canned him. Nice job. Hey, see you guys back here tomorrow to talk basketball and Olympics and Carolina Panther football. And maybe wrestling. On the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
I really don't give a
So also apparently there were threats at a Morgan Wallen concert last week.
Those were made by Morgan Wallen.
No. They were plotting to shoot Chiefs players.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yes. And did you see what Chiefs players were there?
Kelsey Mahomes, right?
And Chris?
Really?
Yes. It would be a pretty big target, unfortunately. Yeah, stop it, people. What are you doing? The only reason why I'm mentioning that is that related somehow. Because of the Taylor Swift thing.
I did follow it up. The Chiefs thing was by a drunk, I don't remember which team, but opponent AFC West fan who was just drunken talking bleep and somebody overheard him. And that dude screwed up his life over a joke that I'm sure has been made many times by many drunk dudes in the comfort of their own living rooms.
Hi, this is Dr. Elliot Hirschman with New Life Weight Loss, and we know the secret. Our unique doctor-supervised weight loss program makes it easy to lose weight, get healthy, and get your energy back naturally, safely, and effectively.
Probably, Joe, more than likely. Or a really disgruntled fan, a Denver fan.
Oh, man. All right, dudes who do that, thanks for being here. All you PMP Army folks that stuck around, we appreciate you. All of the regular members of the Armada, we appreciate you all as well. Thanks for being here. I'm going to go do some work and then go home and take another nap because I'm still ain't right. You're all spectacular, people. Taylor Swift, hard hands. Thanks for being here. Goodbye.